bad person around here, but we have no idea that the FBI and the police have covered every single base, everything that anybody can think of, they've covered.
Also tonight, new information on Don Wells' violation of probation arrest.
He was initially arrested Saturday on several charges, including driving under the influence. While in court yesterday for those charges, Wells was arrested for violating his probation. The Hawkins County General Sessions Court said Wells was on probation after he was convicted for, quote, possessing a handgun by an intoxicated person. This was back in April of this year. Wells was released on his own recognizance. Mark, thank you very much. New at 6, the Dr. Phil Show has released when it will air the episode featuring the parents of missing 5-year-old Summer Wells.
That episode is set to air next week, November 11th and 12th. Both Don Wells and Candace Bly speak with the popular talk show host on their daughter's disappearance. Family members say Summer was last seen June 15th at her Hawkins County home. A Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Amber Alert remains active tonight.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still continuing to monitor the latest as the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells continues. We rejoin Kate Nemrich, who's been following the story all day, keeping up with the search efforts. Kate, what can you tell us about day 4 of the search?
Kelly, search efforts were set to wrap up around 8, but about 15 minutes prior to that, 3 Sullivan County Sheriff deputies sped down Beech Creek Road to a driveway not far from Ben Hill Road where Summer was last seen. The TBI tells us they were following up on a lead but wouldn't confirm details beyond that. They did say Summer is still missing. Earlier in the evening, we were able to speak to Summer's parents at their home. Summer's mom declined to go on camera. We spoke to her father on camera earlier in the day, but they walked us through that last afternoon that they saw Summer.
The Wells home sits on top of a hill off of Ben Hill Road in Hawkins County.
According to her and everyone that was at my house, I mean, they were planting flowers by her grandmother's little trailer, and she said she wanted to go into the house, and she watched her. She walked into the front door.
Summer's mom, Candace, says not 2 minutes later, she went to check on Summer and she was gone. The parents believe she would never walk off and that someone took her. The TBI has not identified suspects at this time. On Saturday, crews extended their search efforts to fields 2 miles in both directions down Beech Creek from Ben Hill Road.
As we all prayed this morning that God will work a miracle and that she will be found.
Earlier in the day, the Seventh-day Adventist Church the family attends in Kingsport held a vigil for Summer.
It's everything. Without God and these people, you know, and that's other churches too as well that have been supporting us. We all love you very much and miss you, Summer.
Earlier today, the Hawkins County Emergency Communications put out an all-call through the Tennessee Associations of Rescue Squads for help in their search starting tomorrow. Those search efforts are set to resume at 8 a.m. in the Beech Creek community. Kate Nemrich, News Channel 11.
On the ground, it's not only search helping in the effort, area churches are also lending a helping hand. Amy Cockrum has more on how.
It's a great honor for us.
Terry Roberts is a senior pastor at Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church. The church is acting as a command post for law enforcement, emergency workers, and search crews to operate out of during the search for Summer.
They've got all their computers set up to run all the checks they need to run, and that way they can get people out in crews.
Roberts says on Sunday there were about 300 people from all over the southeast working from the center. He says his church has provided food, drinks, and welcome crews into their fellowship hall with open arms while they work around the clock.
Some of the guys I've seen down there, it's been sometimes they've been there for 2 or 3 days. I don't know when they've slept, because every time I'm down there, they've been down there.
Meanwhile, his church has moved services to Tri-Cities Baptist Campground, and Mount Carmel isn't the only church helping out in whatever way possible.
Some of our people from our church go to different area grocery stores to get some desserts, basically, and we took them all down here yesterday.
Pastor Calvin McCrae says it's what's written in the Bible that has led his congregation to help out.
The Bible says caring one for another, and that's our job, is to bear you one another's burdens, and that's just a small price that we're supposed to do as Christians.
The great thing is we've all come together as a community and as churches, all working together to try to make this bad situation as good as possible.
In the Beech Creek community, Amy Cockrum, News Channel 11.
During the duration of the search, over 120 agencies have been utilized from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina. Since June 15th, the day Summer was reported missing, 1,150 searchers have covered the ground and nearly 14,000 search hours have been logged. In the air, the TBI fixed wing flew 21.2 hours and the THP helicopter has logged 30 hours of flight so far. At last check, the TBI has received 518 tips in the search for Summer Wells. You're urged to call or email with any credible information you have that can lead to finding Summer, or any information that can help lead the TBI to the driver of that truck we mentioned. The number and email are listed right there on your screen. You can remain anonymous.
Some bad person grabbed her. We have no idea that the FBI and the police have covered every single base, everything that anybody can think of they've covered.
Pastors and their congregations are just some of those community members showing up to help in the search for Summer. They're providing food, water, and all they can to help search crews. Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church serves a special purpose in the search for Summer. The church is acting as a command post for law enforcement, emergency workers, and search crews to operate out of. The crews have come from all over the southeast and operate from the base 24/7 in case a tip or new lead comes in. Those who attend the church say it's a great honor to be able to provide such an essential service to search crews.
They're working around the clock very hard. Some of the guys I've seen down there, it's been sometimes they've been there for 2 or 3 days, not even, I don't know when they've slept, because every time I'm down there, they've been down there.
Community members tell me they want to say a big thank you to those search teams working tirelessly to bring Summer Wells home. In the Beech Creek community, Amy Cochran, News Channel 11.
It's been 1 week since Donald Wells was rearrested in court following his DUI arrest last weekend. Today he spoke with News Channel 11 for the first time since. He told us he has obtained a lawyer and he could not speak about what happened. And although the family's website, findsummerwells.com, was created in conjunction with the Wells family official YouTube channel, he addressed the negativities surrounding other YouTube content creators and some of his appearances on different videos and channels.
I have to stay off of the YouTube thing, or be very careful about if I do anything on YouTube from now on, because, you know, I have lost control. I've done stupid things. For that, I apologize. I'm just trying to be right, trying to focus on our church and the things that our family, you know, that we so much enjoyed together.
This Thursday, we'll have in-depth coverage throughout the day about the search for Summer Wells. Her parents will be appearing on the Dr. Phil show that day on News Channel 11. Today, it's 6 months since the family of Summer Wells reported the 5-year-old girl missing.
Law enforcement continues to investigate her disappearance. Still no leads. Summer was reported missing by her family June 15th. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation issued an Amber Alert for her the next day. That alert remains active as the search continues.
Today on Twitter, the TBI said they're continuing to follow every lead. They said the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office will not stop working until they have answers about what happened to Summer. And the TBI reiterated there's no evidence that Summer had been abducted. They're continuing to explore all the possibilities.
At this time, there is no evidence that she was abducted. However, all avenues continue to be explored, including foul play and the very real possibility that she wandered off and became lost in the mountainous and rough terrain surrounding her home.
And they're encouraging anyone with information that could lead them to Summer to call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tips2tbi@tn.gov.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says the search for Summer Wells is outside the norm when it comes to the standard amount of time a missing persons case involving a child can take. That appears to be true for Amber Alerts issued across the U.S. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says in 2020 there were 174 Amber Alerts that ended with a recovery. Nearly 76%, or 132 of the alerts, were resolved within just 6 hours. Only 3 extended beyond 48 hours. In 2019, there were 100 Amber Alerts across the U.S. that had a recovery. A majority of the cases, 76, were found within 6 hours of the alert being activated. 11 were recovered more than 48 hours after that. Well, here in the Tri-Cities region, there are two relatively recent Amber Alerts that remained active way beyond 48 hours.
Now, the most recent was Evelyn Boswell. TBI issued an Amber Alert for the Sullivan County toddler February 19th of 2020. Her body was found a few weeks later in March on a family member's Blountville property. The child's mother, Megan Boswell, remains in jail on several charges, including 2 counts of felony murder. Prosecutors plan to seek life imprisonment without parole.
The other long-lasting Amber Alert case happened back in 2016. It lasted 8 days. The TBI issued the alert for Carly Trent on May 2016 after her uncle, Gary Simpson, lied to school officials when he picked up the Rogersville 9-year-old. The Tennessee Department of Corrections says Simpson pleaded guilty to especially aggravated kidnapping and sexual battery in 2017. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison.
There are 2 aspects to this case: the search for Summer and the investigation into how she disappeared. Part of that investigation has involved looking into the family. As we reported earlier this week, Summer's father, Donald Wells, was arrested last year for domestic assault. News Channel 11's Amy Cochran has been looking into Wells' criminal past and found he has also previously faced charges in other states.
Josh and Sarah, I spent the day looking into Donald Wells' previous charges in Utah, Arkansas, and Tennessee. The Arkansas charges include possession of controlled counterfeit substances without a prescription and burglary. Those charges occurred between 2006 and 2007. In Utah, Wells faced multiple charges from 1990 to 2001. He pled guilty to attempted aggravated assault, interfering with a public servant, forgery, burglary of a dwelling, and theft. When we asked Wells earlier this week if he would like to address his criminal history, he said, quote, "It's in the past and we'll leave it there," end quote. We also asked Wells about charges in Hawkins County. According to police reports, Wells was arrested in October 2020 and charged with domestic assault, possession of a handgun while under the influence, and unlawful possession of a weapon, following an incident with Summer's mother.
We worked it out. She's apologized to me. She's went to the district attorneys. She even talked to the judge and told him that she made a serious mistake, and and that's the end of it.
This past April, Wells pled guilty to possession of a handgun while under the influence. The other charges were dismissed. Josh and Sarah?
Amy, thanks. And we want to point out here that TBI says the Wells family has been very cooperative with investigators throughout their search efforts.
Friends of the family tell us they're doing their best to keep their spirits up on day 9.
Also tonight, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says misinformation being shared on social media is hindering their efforts to find missing Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells. They continue to urge the public only to share information from official sources. TBI has been looking for a maroon or red Toyota Tacoma truck. They say the person driving it may have been a witness in Summer's disappearance. They say a photo circulating on social media of a truck that says it has been located is not true. It was not released by law enforcement. They say they have heard of people asking for donations from the public and saying they're assisting law enforcement in that search. Again, TBI says this is untrue. They have not requested investigative assistance from any private citizen. It has now been over 7 weeks since Summer Wells was last seen by her family. TBI asks any credible information can be called in at 1-800-TBI-FIND or emailed to tips@tbi.tn.gov.
The search for missing Hawkins County 5-year-old girl Summer Wells continues tonight.
38 days after she was reported missing, authorities still have no leads as to where she is. A nonprofit search and recovery group plans to reinvigorate the ground search for Summer this weekend. With about 20 professional searchers coming to Hawkins County, the EcuSearch Midwest organization hopes to find Summer or at least some clue as to where the 5-year-old might be. The group comes from several states, including Ohio, Kentucky, Alabama, and Tennessee.
We have some very, very good members on our team, and they stay very, very motivated. They pour their hearts out into every single search, and we treat our searches of the missing people as if they're one of our family members, and we go in there and we stay focused on what our purpose is.
EcuSearch leaders asked the public not attempt to assist their members in a search this weekend, as the terrain in the Beech Creek area they say is too dangerous for untrained people to traverse. News Channel 11's Bianca Murray will have more on the weekend search on the news at 6 o'clock. Meanwhile, investigators continue to ask for tips from the public. You can call them at 1-800-TBI-FIND or email them to tips@tbi.tn.gov.
Sydney, when it comes to social media, investigators have asked that the public not submit tips to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation based on something they see online, but rather focus on substantial tips. According to a statement from the Vice President for the Missing Children Division at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, it says, in part, our recommendation to the public is to follow law enforcement's social media accounts and listen to their press releases as they will provide the latest and most accurate information. This will keep the social media focus on finding the missing child. Today, we also heard from the TBI regarding the tip reporting process in the search for Summer. A TBI spokesperson says each tip the agency receives is followed up on. That tip count now nears 1,000. The TBI saying, in part, we don't necessarily know whether a tip contains valuable information until it's been looked into. We want to be able to dedicate time to investigating those tips that can actually help with the investigation. Now, yesterday I went to the Wells Family Church in Kingsport, where I spoke with Summer's Sabbath school teacher. She told me she's been receiving a lot of what she called attacks on social media due to her connection to the case.
If we can just show people love, we're not going to regret that. But if we are saying bad things about people and then we find out later that they were innocent, we're going to regret that. So I just really feel like I just want to tell people, just be kind.
Now tonight, starting at 5, I will have more insight into the life of those nearest to the Wells family. Sydney?
Bianca, thank you. Now, anyone with information on her whereabouts is asked to contact 1-800-TBI-FIND, or you can email any credible tips to the address there on your screen. That's tips2tbi@tn.gov. Now, at last check, the reward for information leading to her return is now nearing $40,000.
Several protesters yelled at the parents of Summer Wells as they worked on a home in the Edenburg Park community of Kingsport.
It's scary. It's scary, for sure. I mean, Candace was in tears and she was shaking and all that. She's scared.
The group heard yelling profanities at the parents and loudly claiming the parents had something to do with Summer's disappearance.
Let the police do their job. I mean, I feel that they're just making a mockery out of everything for their YouTube channel and personal gain. I don't think they pretend that they're all about Summer and they care about Summer, but I think otherwise.
But Wells says today was not the first time he's seen the protesters. From his front porch this weekend, several hundred feet from the road, he could hear protesters screaming over bullhorns.
You know, the protesters, been coming to our house probably 6 times in total and just making a mockery out of everything.
Are you afraid for your life?
Well, I mean, there at first it was very scary. It could be bad, it could be dangerous, it has been, but we just want to get back to normal. And
Wells says the protesters' presence has been taxing.
I remember my stomach being in a knot just constantly, not being able to sleep. And if I did sleep, when I woke up, as soon as I wake up, first thing in my mind is Summer. Where's Summer? And just begging God, just constantly, that was my baby, my little girl. She was always with me.
Wells keeps in contact with investigators, not giving up hope.
I even hear from people time to time where TBI has contacted them because their cell phone happened to ping in the area. So I know that they're still working and they're still looking into things.
Professional search experts will be in Hawkins County today, revitalizing the search for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells. News Channel 11's Bianca Murray spoke with the search coordinator for EquiSearch Midwest, the group hoping to locate Summer or gain some clue as to where she might be.
using searches on foot, utility vehicles, drones, and even technology like sonar. EquiSearch Midwest members hope to find something in the fields and forest of the Beech Creek community leading to summer wells.
Our members are very, very determined and motivated, and once we start a search, we continue going. Sometimes we'll search from daylight till it's not, dark outside, and we just try to do everything we possibly can.
The group of 15 to 20 trained professionals plan to work through the area searched once already, hoping to find anything possibly missed.
And we're hoping and praying, that we can get some answers. We don't make promises, but we just try to go out and do the best we can, and we're going to hope that we can bring Summer home.
Cisco tells me she has a message to the public, hoping to help.
If I could suggest anything to the public, I would suggest to just keep that flyer floating around, keep her pictures floating around, and just don't give up on hope for Summer to be brought home, because there are people out there that do truly care, and we are going to give everything we possibly can to try and find Summer to bring her home.
Reporting in Beech Creek, Bianca Murray, News Channel 11.
News Channel 11 will follow this story this weekend and bring any updates that might come out of that search with continued coverage both online and on air on News Channel 11.
As help continues to pour in from all over the Southeast, so do those donations. Yesterday, the Hawkins County Rescue Squad put a halt on donations because they had received so much. But this morning, the community spirit of giving was still very much alive. Area churches banded together to provide food and drinks to those working this weekend, and they aren't the only ones. People have driven hours to drop off waters, Gatorade, food, and other supplies, just anything to help those who are working day and night to find Summer. One couple drove from Howell, Tennessee to drop off water and has a message for the rescue squads.
Our prayers go out to them, the family, friends, and just pray that each and every one just hold on to Jesus through it all.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office says they have not given up on the search for Summer Wells.
The TBI and Sheriff Ronnie Lawson on Twitter today posted an update saying they want everyone to know they're still working to find the missing 5-year-old girl from Hawkins County, even if the public doesn't see their efforts.
But we're still looking, we're still searching, we're still following tips. And one thing that we need to do is preserve the integrity of this case, because we can't tell everything we're doing. We can't tell everything we know.
Investigators continue to seek credible tips from the community in the case.
You can submit tips to 1-800-TBI-FINE or tips to tbi@tn.gov.
The search for 5-year-old Summer Wells continues, and as of this morning, fresh boots are on the ground in hopes of bringing the young girl home. You're watching ABC Tri-Cities at 6. I'm Kelly Grossfield. A search and recovery nonprofit is in Hawkins County today, nearly 40 days after Summer's disappearance. Bianca Murray spoke with members of the search crew and tells us how they plan to tackle this terrain.
Ground search crews stopped combing through the thick vegetation of the Beech Creek community about 2 weeks after Summer was reported missing. But one group isn't giving up, and that is EquiSearch Midwest. The nonprofit sent a team of about 15 professionally trained search and recovery members to look for anything that might help authorities find Summer, or at least find out what happened to the 5-year-old. Even though search crews from the Tri-Cities and several other states have already looked thoroughly through the areas immediately surrounding the property from where she disappeared, EquiSearch has returned for a second time to dig a little deeper.
We've got a great bunch out there today. We're covering a lot of ground, a lot of virgin territory that has not been looked at, and we're just continuing on expanding the circle, of course.
Crew members say they're turning over every leaf to find any evidence, whether it be an item of clothing, hair, or anything that could lead investigators to Summer. They say they have drones and even sonar at their disposal if necessary, but for right now, they will only be using the boots on the ground to conduct the search. The crews have asked that their specific search area as well as the command post location remain confidential. I'll have more on why they believe it's important to protect the integrity of the investigation tonight at 11. I'm Bianca Murray reporting in Hawkins County for News Channel 11.
Bianca, thank you. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation remains the lead agency in this case. They're continuing to ask for credible tips. Those can be sent in via phone call or email. That information is on your screen.
Tomorrow, crews will head back into the field for another ground search for missing 4-year-old Summer Wells. The Hawkins County girl disappeared from her Beech Creek community home 5 weeks ago. News Channel 11's Bianca Murray spoke with the professional search and recovery organization from the Midwest that's coming back to Northeast Tennessee for tomorrow's search.
Crews with EquuSearch Midwest plan to comb through these fields in the Beech Creek community in hopes of finding Summer Wells.
For this search that we have for Summer this weekend, we have maybe 15 or 20 of our members coming, and the members that we have for our organization are some amazing people.
Having been in Beech Creek once before, EquuSearch members are planning to turn over every stone in hopes of finding a clue to Summer's whereabouts.
There's several different things that we use when we go on a search. We use sonar and different things like that.
Most importantly, Cisco says the public should not try to assist searchers.
The terrain in the area up there is very, very dangerous. And we encourage the public to not even try to go out there and search, because we can assure you that law enforcement is doing everything they possibly can, and the teams that are trained properly, you know, they go out and they do these searches, and it's very dangerous out there.
Having done over 30 similar searches since 2012, EquuSearch teams hope to use their honed skills to find Summer, but they say that's not all it's about.
We just try to do everything we possibly can, you know, to help get closure for families, or to even let the families know that we do care, and we want to know that there are people out there that truly do care.
As a nonprofit, the group is asking for donations.
When we do this, you know, even if we don't have donations, we still go and we do this, and we take money out of our own pocket to be able to do this. Like the money issue, that's not even a big deal. That doesn't even come to our mind whatsoever.
If you wish to donate to the search efforts this weekend, you can find that information on WJHL.com. In the Beech Creek community, I'm Bianca Murray for News Channel 11.
And as always, if you have information that could help the investigators find Summer, call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email the address on your screen.
Tyler, thank you. Well, more than 1,000 tips and 38 days later, and there's still no sign of 5-year-old Summer Wells. Happening tomorrow, a search and recovery nonprofit plans to come to Hawkins County for a second time in hopes of finding Summer. News Channel 11's Bianca Murray spoke with the search coordinator. She joins us live in the studio with more on what's expected. Bianca?
Sydney, EquuSearch Midwest is a non-profit professional search and rescue organization. They did aid local law enforcement in the original search for Summer, but search coordinator Twyla Cisco tells me the group plans on coming to Hawkins County with 15 to 20 members this weekend. Though law enforcement and local search and rescue organizations have limited their search efforts in the Beech Creek community, EquuSearch Midwest plans to utilize knowledge and skills gained from over 30 similar search efforts since 2012. Important to stress and reiterate, the public is being asked to not follow searchers or assist in their search efforts, all in an attempt to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Our successful rate is pretty good, and when we go out there, we do everything that we possibly can, everything that we possibly can. And when we go into an area, we search that with our foot searchers, and then our director, he does not let us leave an area until he feels confident that that area has been taken care of.
I will have more on the search starting tonight on News Channel 11 at 5. Sydney, back to you.
Bianca, thank you. Now, anyone with information on Summer's whereabouts is asked to call the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND, or you can email tips to tbi@tn.gov. Now, remember, the reward for information leading to her return is now around $40,000.
We're expecting a news conference later this afternoon scheduled for 4 p.m. from the TBI on the latest regarding the search for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells. Take a look at your screen. Summer was last seen last Tuesday evening near her home in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. Anyone with information asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND or submit a tip online by email at tips@tbi.gov.
Officials with the TBI say they're looking for the driver of a Toyota pickup truck who was seen in the Beech Creek community either Monday or Tuesday of last week. The pickup is possibly a 1998 or 2000 maroon or red Toyota Tacoma with a full bed ladder rack. They're looking to speak with the driver and want to stress that they are not a suspect but can be a potential witness. Meanwhile, Hawkins County EMA Director Jamie Miller took to social media this evening to announce that they expect a large group of responders to be on site tomorrow morning. They'll be helping in the search, continuing to trek through acres and acres of rough terrain near the home where Summer went missing from on Tuesday night.
First, some concerned members of our community are hoping that a bit of cash will really help lead to a break in the case as the search continues for 5-year-old Summer Wells. This is News Channel 11 at 5 o'clock. I'm Josh Smith.
I'm Sarah Diamond. It has now been 8 days since Summer Wells was reported missing by family members. Search teams from more than 80 agencies from across the southeastern United States have come to Hawkins County and trekked through difficult terrain in the days since in an effort to find her.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation did not hold a scheduled news briefing today. A spokesman said that's standard in cases like this where there's no significant update to provide. TBI posted on Twitter that investigators conducted what they called a roadblock canvass Tuesday night, speaking with drivers traveling through the Beech Creek community in Hawkins County to see if they maybe saw something, noticed something unusual the day Summer was reported missing. Ainsley Daniel joins us live from the search area tonight.
Ainsley, where do things stand right now as far as reward money being offered to help find Summer?
Josh and Sarah, it's been more than a week since Summer Wells was last seen near her home here in the Beech Creek community. Those search efforts are ongoing. This is the investigation into what happened that Tuesday night. But now some people here in the community are saying they're hoping that if they put up money, there will be someone that comes forward with some information to help bring her home.
I believe people out there know something, and if you know something, please say something.
Summer Wells has captured the hearts and minds of people in the 8 days since she has been missing. With no leads on where she could be or what happened to her, reward money is now being offered for information.
And it'll get some people who have, good thoughts and interest in their community to share whatever tip they might have. If they saw anything, if they heard anything, if they've got any suggestions, they may be important.
David Garahan is offering $25,000 for information that leads to Summer Wells. He gave a blank check to the Kingsport Times News. The paper reported that a rescue agency would be recruited to award the money, as the TBI and Hawkins County Sheriff's Office do not handle reward funds. The Churchill Rescue Squad is working to set up the account. The squad's chief, Tim Coop, said, quote, "We understand that the reward is an important part in the efforts of finding Summer Wells, but we are not wanting that to interfere with the search operations on finding Summer Wells."
I know searches are getting pretty desperate, and I know the law enforcement officials have said the same thing, so I was hoping just last-ditch effort to find some kind of answer, hopefully before it's too late for Summer.
Trevor Lee is offering $2,000. Summer's situation is close to his heart. He has a domestic and child abuse prevention nonprofit with a mission to stand up for children.
Seeing this go on and how there's another child that has no voice in whatever situation's going on, it just meant a lot to try to help in whatever way I can.
The Churchill Rescue Squad told us they would let us know when that reward system is up and running. But those here in the community and those who have already offered up money are becoming desperate for answers about what happened to the little girl. Live in the Beech Creek community, Ainsley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Leslie Earhart, a public information officer with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Thank you for being here and continuing to cover the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells. Unfortunately, we don't have any significant updates to provide as Summer is still missing. But we did want to share the latest on the investigation and the ongoing search. As you know, she's now the subject of a statewide Amber Alert. She was last seen outside of her home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road, which is located in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. A family member reported her missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30 Tuesday evening. At the time she went missing, Summer was reportedly wearing a gray pants and a pink shirt. She is believed to be barefoot. We do want to encourage the public, especially residents living in the area of Ben Hill Road, to check any trail cameras or security cameras that they might have that could have captured Summer on video or in photographs. We also encourage residents to check any crawl spaces, outbuildings, or sheds that would make for good hiding places. As we mentioned, the search is ongoing. There are a number of agencies involved. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson to talk more about the search and the conditions that authorities are up against. Sheriff.
Thank you. It's been a very intense 21 hours of a lot of searching, a lot of investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods, with a number of law enforcement officers doing the investigation also. Today we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We're jointly investigating this whole circumstance. Our main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching, and we just appreciate everybody, their contributions. It's been a tremendous outpour from the community with the water, the food, and the snacks. It's just overwhelming, and it's a very intense investigation. I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing, and we will release things as we can, when we can. Our main goal right now is to find Summer.
We'll take a couple of questions, but keep in mind we can't discuss specifics of the investigation. Can you talk about the area back here and how this
Absolutely. It's very dense. The terrain is tremendously hard. We have virtually no cell phone service. The radio system we use, which is not that good, we have very little radio communication. We do have several command posts setting up, but what makes it so hard is the communication between the boots on the ground, searching the woods, and different agencies and officers, and it's very hard to communicate. And we're not like we're in these small towns or in towns where you got a lot of cell service, and just for instance, when we get texts from the media, you may text and we may get it an hour later, and we have no way to reply to it. And the same way with the officers, and the ECOM Central Dispatch has done an excellent job. TBI has their command post that should arrive soon, and we're going to continue on until we find Summer and put this case to rest.
Do you believe there was foul play involved, and is there any history with this family?
The family are operating, and it's really too early to tell. We're still basically just gathering information, and we're in the search mode right now.
Around 11 this morning, switch from missing child alert to an Amber Alert. What goes into the decision of putting that Amber Alert out? Can you clarify the difference between the two?
Sure. After the initial search and as we developed more information as part of the investigation, our team made the decision to elevate the alert to an Amber.
And what's the difference between those two alerts?
An endangered child alert is a mid-level alert where a child could potentially be in danger. An Amber Alert is, we issue those when we believe a child is in imminent danger of bodily harm or death, and it's the most severe alert.
It appeared to me that she walked away from her home. Why was it up into an Amber?
Well, the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial search. We acted, and the Sheriff's Office acted on the information available at the time, and as we learned more in the first several hours into today, it led us to issue an Amber Alert.
Well, when the Amber Alert was issued, you said there was new information that led you to believe that
or might be in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can't. That's part of the investigation.
Sheriff Lawson mentioned earlier that he's asking community folks if you have enough resources here, what's your message to the community that they feel like they want to help in some regard? How can they help at this time?
If they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. They want to reply to us or respond anonymously. That's fine, as long as we find somebody. That's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. When they raise that up another level, that helps more people paying more attention. You get more clues, you get more calls, and then everybody can call that 1-800-TBI find, and it all goes into a database, which helps us in an area where we don't have a lot of communication anyway. So TBI helps us with that.
The FBI was called in fairly early. Can you kind of explain why that decision was made?
Well, we have an excellent relationship working together, and just like if this case stems outside of Hawkins County, then you have the TBI to help with that. But if it expands on out past the state of Tennessee, then you got the FBI. So we're all on the same page, and we just keep on going. We're just working together as a team. All have the same goal. Let's find Summer.
One more question.
Can you explain maybe just the area where you guys are searching? Maybe if people see something in a certain area, they should be on the heightened alert if they're in a certain area or part of town. Sure. Can you explain the area?
Well, the terrain and stuff is like you see here. This is what the people are searching in. But if they seen something yesterday evening or afternoon that we need to know, that's when they need to make the call or come by the command post.
Any kind of landmarks and sort of an area
Just around Ben Hill Road in that area. That's the main, because she's 5 years old and she left the house, and evidently she got a little farther than they expected.
Do you have any idea how much territory your volunteers and searchers are covering?
A lot. We have so many out there that they've broadened the scope. Plus, we've been able to utilize aircraft. THP's been wonderful with their helicopter and the medical helicopters with THP's FLIR at night. And they've been flying today, and it's just outstanding how the communities come to help us, plus all the different resource agencies and the rescue squads and EMSs and all the law enforcement. And we just hope that we have a great result when we find Summer.
At this time, we're following up on any and all leads. Again, thank you for being here. We encourage the public to call in any credible information to 1-800-TBI-FIND, and we continue to hold out hope for the best possible outcome. Thank you.
First tonight, teams from 15 agencies returned to Hawkins County for a second day of large-scale ground searches for Summer Wells.
Yesterday marked the first widespread search we'd seen in the area around the family home for the missing 5-year-old girl in months. The return to the Beech Creek community for dozens of members of law enforcement and rescue personnel, part of a planned search, the TBI said. They really want to take advantage of just the change in terrain, the decrease in foliage because of the winter weather approaching. That's according to the TBI, who said that there were no new developments in the case yesterday, and so far we've heard of none today. Bianca Murray's been there in the Beech Creek community monitoring the search efforts for the last couple of days.
Josh and Sarah, it's been nearly 6 months since Summer was reported missing, and search efforts today rivaled that of the day that she disappeared. Crews from 15 agencies, including as far away as White Pine, Tennessee, gathered for the second day of the second official large-scale search for the missing 5-year-old. The TBI reports search teams have covered a total of 350 acres over the last 2 days.
I mean, everybody's still searching just as hard as they were the day when it first started, really. I mean, that's the proof to you kind of how this community is, I guess. And tight knit, everybody seems to be. That's a good thing still.
A cadaver dog from Greene County was seen searching the wooded areas along the Wells property today. The TBI today reported that the search is likely over for now, but that search crews will continue to search specific areas as new information is discovered. In Beech Creek, Bianca Murray, News Channel 11.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation continues to ask for credible tips in the Amber Alert search. You can call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tips to tbi@tn.gov.
Just into it, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says it will hold a news briefing in just a few hours on search efforts for 5-year-old Summer Wells. Family members reported Summer Wells missing around 6:30 p.m. June 15th after she was last seen at their Rogersville home on Ben Hill Road. There's currently a statewide Amber Alert for her in Tennessee. Again, that TBI briefing is set to start at 4 p.m. You can watch it live on the air in our First at 4 newscast on WJHL.com.
We learn more today about the role of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in this case. It's one of more than 100 agencies taking part in the search for Summer. The FBI today said that it has deployed its Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. They told us this a few days ago. Today, the FBI said their CARD team members consist of highly trained, experienced subject matter experts, including FBI agents, intelligence analysts, and behavioral analysis profilers. The agency went on to say that this team provides assistance during non-family child abductions, also ransom child abductions, and what the FBI called mysterious disappearances of children. Ashley Sharp, thank you. For the first time in more than a week, we hear from Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson on the search for Summer Wells. In an email to News Channel 11, Sheriff Lawson described the case today as still very active and intense, with, quote, everything possible being checked out by investigators. Sheriff Lawson said out of the 750 tips received so far, none have resulted in a solid lead. This comes after the Hawkins County 5-year-old has been missing now for 17 days.
Also tonight, investigators are still working tips and leads in the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells, who went missing from her home more than a month ago. Earlier today, a spokesperson for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said ground searches have happened consistently since the large-scale ground search ended.
And Ainsley Daniels in Hawkins County, where crews have been looking with the latest from the TBI on where the Amber Alert stands.
Josh and Sarah, since the ground search for Summer Wells here in the Beech Creek community was pulled back several weeks ago, with little information being released from investigators, many viewers have reached out asking if the Amber Alert for Summer has been canceled or called off. Although there is no update from law enforcement today, the TBI assures that this investigation is continuing on and that they are following up on every lead and tip, and that this alert will remain active until Summer is located.
We have agents assigned to the active Amber Alerts that you will find on the TBI website. Again, we continue to get leads on the older Amber Alerts as well, and anytime we receive information, we will follow up on it, and we maintain an open investigation, and again, until that child has been recovered.
Authorities are still looking for the driver of a red or maroon Toyota Tacoma with a full bed ladder rack with white buckets in the back. That truck was seen in the area around the time Summer went missing. The TBI says there will not be any media availability until there is a significant development in this case that can be released publicly. In the Beech Creek community, Ainsley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Remember, if you have any information about where Summer could be, call 1-800-TBI-FIND or send an email to tipstotbi@tn.gov.
The TBI announced they've received more than 560 tips, still none of them offering that solid lead they've been waiting for. More than 1,100 acres have been searched on the ground. Helicopters and airplanes have searched above. Here's video of the command center on June 16th, where the TBI and the FBI were coordinating more than 120 agencies assisting in the search. Well, tonight it is a very different picture. Incident Commander Tim Coop said the command center at the Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church is now demobilized. But while there's no longer a massive number of people in the area, we're told search crews and outside resources tonight are very much on standby if they're needed. Here's a look at Summer's photo again. If you see her or have any information that could help investigators find her, call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND, or you can send an email to tipstotbi@tn.gov.
Communication issues in Hawkins County became the focus at a public safety committee meeting earlier today. The focal point being what happened during the initial search for Summer Wells. Leaders of rescue squads and other first responders explained in more detail just how difficult the problems with the radio system were and explained how much of a risk it could have been had more equipment not been brought in.
TEMA and Sullivan County EMA provided us with a cache of approximately 50 radios to hand out to the responders that were on scene. If it hadn't been for them providing those radios, we would have we would have been in a mess in Beach Creek. We would have had no communications with all these people.
I don't want to go to one of my members. I'm sure Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, Rescue Squad, EMS, you guys don't want to have to make that door knock on the phone going, your child's father, mother, brother, sister, they're not coming home because of lack of communication and safety for these guys that are doing this as a volunteer for free.
Commissioners on the committee pushed back as the county has had several meetings over funding and fixing the system, approving $425,000 for an analog system and recently receiving a $250,000 emergency community development block grant, with the state just approving it June 10th. The purchase order for the system was put out the following day, just days after Summer went missing.
We can't do nothing for radios until we see a resolution or something come in front of us to decide on what to do on the radios. And I mean, I don't know how come we always get a finger pointed at us. I mean, we have done everything that we're supposed to do that we've seen in front of us so far.
A new resolution would need to be brought forth to upgrade the analog system to digital and tie the site all together, as well as buy field radios for all of the first responders.
Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Earhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We had hoped to have good news to share with you by now, but unfortunately, we do not. The search for 5-year-old Summer Wells remains ongoing. Today, teams continue to search the area around Ben Hill Road, and officers and agents continue to follow up on any leads that come in. Many have asked how they can assist with the search. At this time, we are not asking for volunteers to assist. What we are asking is for residents to continue to share photos of Summer and information from credible sources. We know you have a lot of questions about the search area and the process. For that reason, Sheriff Lawson has arranged for Captain Tim Coop to elaborate on those efforts. He's with the Churchill Rescue Squad and is serving as the Incident Commander of Ground Search Operations. Tim?
Thank you, Leslie. As Leslie elaborated, I wish we could have better news than we do now. For notification of Miss Summer going missing, we have implemented several methods of search and rescue, with most of these that we continue to do. We've utilized ground crews of 80 to 100 people of trained professionals, aerial aviation search, both visual and FLIR, medical, THB, and TBI assisting us with fixed wing, multiple drones, 4 different canine units. The day that she went missing, we searched from the time of notification until dark. We searched all day yesterday, resumed this morning, continue on throughout the rest of our operational period, utilizing multiple ground crews, drones, fixed wing, and also helicopter with K9s on standby. Some of the issues we're encountering with the search is the steep and dangerous terrain. With this steep and dangerous terrain, we're also experiencing, as you see behind us, very dense canopy coverage, including very dense ground cover, causing search efforts to be very difficult, getting extra time to cover these areas adequately, exhausting teams a lot quicker, in turn causing longer for these grounds to be covered, allowing those teams for recovery and rehab. We have currently covered at this time at 1 mile from the residents last seen by ground and dog. Hopefully by the end of the day we will have covered 2 ground miles. Assisting with THP, expanding theirs to a minimum of 4 miles aerial aviation searching. As she stated, residents area, everybody continues to ask, well, if she wandered off, why did somebody not see her? This part of the community, the residents are very spread out. Some being from one hilltop to the other hilltop, or the start of a road, you may go a mile back before you ever get to the residents. It's making that very difficult for residents just to be able to be at home, outside working or something, and notice her leaving that area. As we continue, we will continually assist Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, TBI, and FBI with this search as long as they deem necessary. And as Leslie stated, at this time we are not asking for any public and or volunteers to assist in the search. A lot of people wonder why. Due to the extreme terrain, the nature of this, trying to locate her, trained professionals is what we need at this time. to make sure that these residents don't become endangered and turn around and expand this issue with having to search for somebody else. Thank you.
As we've stated before, the circumstances surrounding Summer's disappearance remain unclear. So if we do develop information that she was taken and we develop a suspect and a vehicle description, of course we will share that with the public immediately. At this time, that's just not the case. So we'll take a couple of questions, and I'll offer Sheriff Lawson an opportunity to say anything if he wants to.
What time was she last seen, and who reported her missing in the family?
Sheriff?
Her parents reported her missing right around 6:30 p.m.
But when was she, did they say when she was last seen? I know that she was reported missing around that time, but was she last seen earlier in the afternoon or in the day even?
That time is varied because they were searching for their child themselves.
I have a question for Captain Q. Just wanted to see, are you asking for assistance from other agencies? I know yesterday you all mentioned 19 agencies helping out with the quick turnover in personnel. It sounds like that are searching. Are you all looking for other agencies in surrounding counties to help? And what is the hours that you all are searching?
Yes, so hours of operation this time are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have, like Leslie stated yesterday, we have utilized at this time 19 different agencies throughout the state of Tennessee. We also have multiple agencies outside of our jurisdiction in burning states, and also expanding to Middle Tennessee to having these teams on standby.
You talked about getting tips. Can you give me an idea of the magnitude of tips that you've gotten so far? And with the amount of time that passed, is there concern, that it's less likely to find the longer it goes?
Of course, the longer this goes, the more concerned we get. At this stage, we've received nearly 50 leads. None have panned out so far.
50?
Yes, approximately 50 at this point.
Who does Summer live with, and is there any history with this family with law enforcement or anything that you're aware of?
Sheriff.
Summer lived with her parents and 3 siblings.
Are these her biological parents, mother and father?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any history of your office?
1 second. Sorry.
Is there any history of your office going to their home or anyone in the home? Is there any criminal history with family members?
The father has a criminal history. I don't have it with me.
Is any of the family person of interest?
Everybody's a person of interest till we find Summer. The most important thing is find Summer. That's what it's all about. That's why we're doing the ground searches, the aerial searches, and finding her is first and foremost.
Are you concerned that this could be an abduction at this point after so much time has passed?
Everything's on the table. I mean, we're looking at everything, crossing every T, dotting every I, and turning every stone. That's why we have 2 different operations. Captain's operation is search and rescue. Law enforcement operation is to look into this incident and find Summer.
Is the father's criminal record relevant in this investigation?
No.
I've also heard there's been speculation of the siblings in the household. Just wasn't sure if you're able to elaborate on the siblings at all.
They have 3 others besides Summer.
Older, younger,
Older.
sisters?
Older.
Okay. One more question, guys. Anybody have another question? Okay.
I had a question. We've heard about issues with communications between search teams regarding lack of cell coverage as well as the radios. Can you elaborate on that? What those issues have been and how they've impacted the search?
Well, Captain, he can relate to that as far as law enforcement. We can't hardly communicate at all on the radios, and cell phones are out of the question, but thanks to AT&T and Verizon, he can tell you about that. They've been a big help to us. Go ahead.
Elaborate on that real quick. AT&T and Verizon both have bought cell phone service boosters to our command post to help try to utilize cell phone coverage, which is still very spotty for most of the area. Radio communication between ground crews and also aerial aviation has been very difficult due to the state that our radio system's in at this time. For ground crew operations, we're having to utilize anywhere from 4 to 6 different radio channels to make sure we have the coverage where everybody's accounted for.
Real quick, when you said that the search area you covered was about a mile, did you mean a square mile or a radius around the residence?
that is going to be a radius from around the residence from the last point of her household.
Thanks everybody for being here. Just to clarify, ground search efforts end around 8 o'clock. However, if we do receive any phone calls giving us a credible lead, we do follow up on those leads throughout the night. Thanks for being here. Any updates will be posted on our Twitter feed, and we'll update you again as soon as we have something available. Thank you.
All right, so you're assigned to the traffic unit, but today we're out here with this drone. First off, tell me what this is we're about to fly.
So this is a Matrice 200.
And so tell me a little bit about what this does before we take off.
Sure. So what we can do with this drone, we can take aerial pictures of specifically crime scenes, crash scenes, search and rescue missions. So if somebody gets lost in the woods and we can't see them, we can put a different camera on, the FLIR camera, and we can actually pick up the heat signatures of persons. And then once we're ready to launch, we just turn it on. We'll bring it up about eye level.
All right.
And then once we start moving them in closer, we just take it back.
So this right now looks good and ready to go.
It's ready to fly right now.
So with all of the equipment that you have, how long can this drone be up in the air total time?
It's about 30 minutes each set of batteries, easy an hour and a half. I have taken the drone up as high as 400 feet to test the limits of the software, the DJI software, and it actually will stop us. It will not let us go above 400
So won't you go
feet.
any further than 400 feet?
Correct. You know, for us, for what we do, 100, 150 feet up is probably plenty. But it all depends on the terrain that we're trying to see in or see. I'll take pictures of. And I've got it looking at the tire marks right behind me from the air, which you can't really see too well how these tire marks are until you get up in the sky, and then we can really see the angle of those tire marks, which is very important for crash scenes. So down here at the bottom shows us our height. We're at 111 feet. We're out from where we off 168 feet.
In a search and rescue operation, what does this do for that operation?
So it would allow us to see from an aerial perspective the area that we're searching. We would have searching units in a line, and they would be going in a systematic pattern. And once we find something of interest that might pop up on the screen, that's when we will start guiding the ground units that are actually searching toward that object or item. So this particular camera, if the scene is not lit well, it wouldn't do a very good job as far as taking the pictures. We would probably have to switch to the FLIR camera. That way we could see the heat signatures of persons or objects that we're looking for.
So we've now switched to the FLIR camera, which detects heat. Now this can help police find something like a car that's still warm or even a person. It's just one more option to give police eyes hundreds of feet in the sky. So it doesn't show, like recently stepped on grass. It doesn't show anything like that, but it only shows the heat.
Correct.
So in a search situation or a situation where maybe a car has been abandoned for a while, or maybe there is, a body that's been there for a long time, could that pick up at all on this?
No, it wouldn't pick up on, because again, it's relying on heat, change in heat. So if a vehicle's been there for a minute, if a body's been there for a little while, it'd be harder to pick that up on the FLIR camera. So as soon as he hits the grass, we should be able to start picking him up on the FLIR.
And I know that this is used in search and rescue operations, but is this also used if you have a criminal that's running on foot through the woods maybe?
Yes, so as you can see, he's walking through the grass. Immediately as soon as he got into the camera range, we started picking up the different heat. You can tell it's a person walking. Obviously a drone is a lot cheaper than a helicopter, operate a helicopter, to fuel a helicopter. So we can put this up a lot faster, and it gives us a different perspective as an investigator to see crime scenes, to watch over crowds, large crowds, such as Fun Fest and things like that. So we can kind of start seeing issues or things rising, and we can start radioing, hey, we're seeing a problem in this area, and start moving officers toward the problem.
The search for 5-year-old Summer Wells continues tonight with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation assisting the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office has confirmed that the search for Summer, who was reported missing from the Beech Creek area of Hawkins County on June 15th, is still active and ongoing. The Sheriff's Office says they're still asking for your help in identifying a truck that was seen in the Ben Hill Road area the afternoon Summer went missing. This is possibly a 1998 to 2000 maroon or red Toyota Tacoma with a full bed ladder rack in the truck bed. The Sheriff's Office and TBI are continuing to follow up on tips. If you have any information that could assist investigators, you're asked to call the TBI or email them.
Today, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation upgraded the search for a missing 5-year-old from an endangered child alert to the most serious Amber Alert. And that's where we begin News Channel 11 at 5 o'clock. I'm Josh Smith.
I'm Sarah Diamond. Take a look at the little girl law enforcement teams are trying to find. It's 5-year-old Summer Wells of Hawkins County. TBI issued an Amber Alert for her just after 11 o'clock this morning. She was last seen wearing gray pants and a pink shirt. A couple of changes in her description from last night. TBI originally said she was around 4 feet tall. They now say she's about 3 feet tall. Also, they say she has shorter hair than in pictures that they released last night.
Agents from both the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have joined local investigators, I should say, as they search for the little girl. Summer was last seen near her home in the area of Ben Hill Road and Beech Creek Road last night. That's in the southeastern part of Hawkins County. Ainsley Daniels live near the scene of the search, and the Sheriff's Office as well as the TBI had a news conference about an hour ago. Ainsley, what did we find out?
Josh and Sarah, search crews are heading into hour 23 of the search for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells here in Hawkins County. Now, I am stationed at a church here in Sullivan County, and all authorities and crews are actually at a command center about 3 miles away from here. Now, authorities did just tell us that they don't have too much of an update on where she could be, but did say that this search has been tough and rigorous. Now, as I mentioned before, the Hawkins County Sheriff just told us that 19 agencies, including the TBI and FBI, are assisting in the search, as well as other rescue crews from around the area, along with air crews. The search command center is set up at Mount Carmel Free Will Baptist Church, just across the line in Hawkins County. But the sheriff and TBI assured that they do not need any more people to assist in the search that was upgraded from an endangered child alert to an Amber Alert earlier today.
There was the initial search. We acted, and the Sheriff's Office acted on the information available at the time. And as we learned more in the first several hours into today, it led us to issue an Amber Alert.
The TBI could not share what led to that change, but did provide more photos with the child's current hairstyle. We asked the authorities if they believe foul play was involved at all, and this is what the sheriff told us.
The family are cooperating, and it's really too early to tell. We're still basically just gathering information, and we're in the search mode right now.
The sheriff and the TBI did ask everyone here in the Beech Creek community, as well as the Ben Hill Road area, to check any security footage if they have it, just to see if they saw little Summer walking around late last night or even early into today. They also have asked for people in the area to check any crawl spaces, as well as barns or any places that might seem like a hiding place to a child, just to see if she could be there. Live in Sullivan County, Ainsley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Here's another look at 5-year-old Summer Wells. Anyone who has information about her, if you see her, call 911 right away or direct to the TBI. It's 1-800-TBI-FIND. You can email the TBI at tbi@tn.gov, or it's tips to tbi@tn.gov. All that contact information is posted on WJHL.com.
Tonight, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is helping to spread the word about the search for Summer Wells. I'm Sarah Diamond.
And I'm Josh Smith. The agency says Summer's case is the only active Amber Alert in the nation tonight. And here's the latest on the investigation. It's day 8 of the search for the 5-year-old from the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. Today marked the first full day of what the incident commander said would be more focused and more specialized searches.
For the second straight day, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation did not hold a scheduled scheduled media briefing saying there were no significant developments to share. But TBI did say that as of today, they have received 304 tips in the case, none of which have led to Summer.
Authorities also today confirmed that Summer's aunt is missing and has been since 2009. Her mother's sister, Rosemarie Bly, is considered missing and endangered by the FBI. By the FBI. And TBI told us they're aware of the case but have no evidence of a connection to Summer's disappearance. So far, Tennessee is the only state to have actually issued an Amber Alert.
John Jenko learned more about how this case is being handled when it comes to alerting the public.
Right now, Tennessee is still the only state that has issued an Amber Alert for Summer Wells. But thanks to efforts by organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the reach of the search goes much further. A week ago today, TBI decided to issue the Amber Alert for Summer Wells using government resources, including Federal Emergency Management Agency infrastructure, triggering the alerts on TV and on your phone. Whether more states issue Amber Alerts for Summer depends on TBI, according to National Center for Missing and Exploited Children Executive Director Alan Nanavati.
The state of Tennessee, the coordinator would reach out to a neighboring state if there's information through the investigation to believe that the missing child or the abductor with a missing child is traveling interstate.
In the private sector, the center works with multiple partners to increase the alert's impact.
And the purpose of the Amber Alert is really to reach that mobile public, so those individuals that are traveling.
You've likely seen billboards like these across the Tri-Cities.
I know that it was over in Nashville. It was running in all of our digitals in the state initially. Now we've chosen here locally to keep it up longer than the 72 hours, so it's still running here at least through tomorrow.
The center is able to send official photos and information to these billboards through partnerships with outdoor advertisers. Nanavati says Wells is the only active Amber Alert in the country right now, so much of the center's resources are focused on this case. Nanavati tells me the center also works with the trucking industry, social media companies, and other entities to amplify Amber Alerts. In the Beech Creek community, John Jenko, News Channel 11.
Also tonight, search crews returned to Beech Creek today in the search for the missing 5-year-old girl Summer Wells.
It's the first day of what we've been told is at least 2 days of searching to find Summer. John Jenko was there and has the latest tonight on how search crews have been trying to find Summer.
Crews started their day here at Mount Carmel Church in the first on-the-ground search for Summer Wells in months. Tomorrow, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says they'll be back. As the day wraps up, Summer's father, Don, shared his thoughts.
They had a plane flying all day and drone flying all day, and the leaves are off the tree so they can see a lot better.
Donald Wells says he got a phone call this morning that the search for his daughter was coming back to Beech Creek. Over 120 officers from a dozen agencies returned to the place where they spent days back in June. This time, the goal's still the same: find some answers in the Summer Wells case.
We're looking for anything that would be evidence that Summer's been in that area.
Crews took the search by ground and air. TBI confirming cadaver dogs were in use today. Lawson says investigators planned this search months ago.
We want to wait until this time of year after the frost and that the leaves are off the trees, but not have to worry about all the foliage and the briars and things like that. So it makes it a lot better for the searchers.
They covered the same ground they did back in the summer. Lawson says the Wells residence was also searched again. He says he hoped crews could cover a mile radius from the house. Donald Wells says he has not been contacted by authorities today, but appreciated the renewed search effort.
Hopefully we can find some clues as to what happened to Summer.
When the search resumes tomorrow, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation tells me crews will focus on the areas they didn't cover today. In Beech Creek, John Jenko, News Channel 11.
37 days since Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells was reported missing by her family.
She's still missing, and investigators have not reported any significant updates in that search. Family members reported Summer Wells missing the evening of June 15th. Since then, search efforts by dozens of agencies and investigators have not led them to her.
News Channel 11's Bianca Murray found out that amid the search for Summer, communication was more of a problem than originally thought. Bianca?
Josh and Sarah, as you know, Hawkins County has had its issues with public safety communications infrastructure for over a year and a half now, and it seems there are still hiccups that need to be addressed before their radio problems can be fixed. County commissioners and public safety workers say they wish they could have sorted all this out before Summer went missing.
It has been a problem before Summer Wells incident has happened here. So we just need to get things in order and get it fixed and be done with it.
The Hawkins County Emergency Management Agency director says there's a plan in place.
My primary goal is to have the public safety agencies of this county to have adequate communications. The cost of that's irrelevant as far as my concern.
Commissioners believe the concern lies with them.
Why we need 600 radios? I need to know that so I can tell the taxpayers, hey, they need so many for the sheriff's office, so many for EMS, so many for rescue squad, so many for the fire department. I mean, we need to know numbers, not just a number thrown in a pot.
According to the EMA director, those numbers were detailed in June 2020. Searchers in the Summer Wells case say they hope some issues are addressed.
Some of the radios have some frequencies, some of them don't. So that's an issue that could be resolved or could be addressed in the future radio system, whatever the county decides to pursue.
In the end, the hope for new radios goes hand in hand with another hope in Hawkins County.
We all are praying for her safety to come home. We pray for all the public safety workers that's there searching.
Commissioner Harrell says the County Commission will meet Monday to discuss the budget, which could lead to some answers regarding the public safety communications issues in Hawkins County.
Bianca, thanks. Now, if you have information to help find Summer Wells, call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tips2tbi@tn.gov. Tonight, the weather remains a concern because of the threat for storms. News Channel 11's John Janko continues our coverage from Hawkins County.
Captain Tim Koop says severe thunderstorms could impact tonight's search efforts. It has rained on and off throughout the evening here. If conditions continue to be severe, Koop says crews will have to be called off. We also got a closer look today at the residence which Summer Wells called home. Donald Wells let us come to the home off Ben Hill Road earlier today, but did not wish to speak on camera. He showed us the door he says Summer left from, the flowers he says she planted with her mother and grandmother, and the swing she would often play on. Meanwhile, in the area surrounding the Wells home, crews are dealing with the threat of severe weather.
We can't put our teams in danger to turn around and maximize the situation.
Koop says the weather could change the terrain being searched for now, but that efforts would continue if conditions stay calm enough.
We will not quit until we find Summer Wells.
Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson today asked residents of Beech Creek, Hawkins, and Sullivan County to help their efforts.
As soon as possible, go back and check their entire property, any outbuildings, any barns, any place a child could hide.
Investigators have also started to utilize surveillance video in the surrounding area.
Drivers seen in the area at the time of her disappearance have been identified and interviewed.
We also learned of a special FBI unit's presence here in Hawkins County. The Child Abduction Rapid Deployment, or CARD team, consists of FBI agents, intelligence analysts, and behavioral profilers to help in child abductions or disappearances. Although a CARD team is now on the ground, authorities are considering all possibilities as nothing can be confirmed as to what happened. In the Beech Creek community, John Janko, News Channel 11.
Josh and Sarah, today's press conference here at the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office in Rogersville wasn't much different than the ones held in Beech Creek this time last year. No new information was given today, and law enforcement told us again that there was no concrete evidence that Summer walked off from her home, nor that she was abducted. A year, 3 intense searches, and hundreds of hours of investigative work later, authorities assured that this case is far from cold.
I can promise you that we will continue to conduct target searches in the Beech Creek area as new information is developed. We'll also continue to follow up on any legitimate leads.
That promise and hope is the foundation for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children since it was founded back in 1984. We spoke with the nonprofit about Summer's case, and they told us while 1 year in a missing child's case is hard to comprehend, they believe that Summer will still be found safe unless it's indicated otherwise by law enforcement.
We've assisted law enforcement with nearly 400,000 missing child cases. And if you go back and you take a look at each and every one of those, not one of them is just exactly like the other. Each one has its own twists and its own information that needs to be looked at individually. And that's a tough road for law enforcement.
Authorities also said again today that this case is outside of the norm for them. They said usually they have an answer or at least some sort of indication of what has happened to that child within a few days of her or him being reported missing. But still, a year later, there are no new leads and no answers as to where Summer Wells could be tonight. Live in Rogersville, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11. It's been 3 months since Summer Wells was last seen at her home here on Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. Since the night of June 15th, no one has been charged in relation to Summer's disappearance, and there are still no more answers as to where the little 5-year-old could be.
Summer Wells is missing. She's 5 years old. She's 4 foot tall, blonde hair. Last seen wearing a pink shirt and gray pants.
That statement has remained the same since that initial night, launching a massive ground search and Amber Alert on the following day.
Everybody's a person of interest until we find Summer.
Authorities said all possibilities were on the table, but Summer's father told us he believed she was taken.
Candace was on one side of the house when she got gone. Not even 50, 60 feet away. We know she wouldn't leave the property. There's no way she would do that.
A statewide call-out was requested through the Tennessee Association of Rescue Squads on June 19th.
With this steep and dangerous terrain, we're also experiencing, as you see behind us, very dense canopy coverage, including very dense ground cover, causing search efforts to become very difficult, taking extra time to cover these areas adequately, exhausting teams a lot quicker, in turn causing longer for these grounds to be covered.
Press conferences continued until June 24th.
While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened within a few days.
On June 26th, the TBI asked for help finding the driver of a Toyota pickup truck that was seen in the area of Ben Hill Road and Beech Creek Road either in the early afternoon to late evening on Monday, June 14th or Tuesday, June the 15th. They stressed that this person is not a suspect but could have seen something.
Please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go and where we can get her back.
Summer's parents believe someone took her. On June 28th, 13 days after her daughter went missing, Candace Bly spoke on camera for the first time.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers, and we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers, and I said okay, and I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV, and I told the boys, I said, watch Summer, I'll be back, and within 2 minutes I came back, and I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay, and I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
That was the same day the reward fund was finalized and search operations were officially scaled back.
Speaking with command staff, speaking to subject matter experts that were involved from other agencies out of state, getting together every day. Hey, this is what we've covered. This is the probability. This is putting all these things together to make the decision. I can say made the decision easier, but it didn't. Still, at the end of the day, it was very difficult to make the decision of scaling back operations to only go off of credible leads.
Nearly a month later, the nonprofit group EquiSearch Midwest returned to the Beech Creek area.
I'm still going to keep the faith. So far we haven't found her. That's a good thing. As long as I don't find a body, we still have hope that this little girl is walking amongst us, and we just need to say whoever has her, bring her home, drop her off at a safe place.
The following Tuesday, the Churchill Rescue Squad announced the sheriff's office would be taking over search operations. Earlier that same day, on July 27th, Summer's parents told us after their juvenile court hearing that their sons had been in the custody of the Department of Child Protective Services since the week before.
Our number one goal from
day one is to find Summer.
No one with the TBI or Hawkins County Sheriff's Office was available for an interview. Summer's parents, Don Wells and Candace Bly, didn't return my phone calls or messages when I asked to speak with them. And now there are no trespassing signs posted up around their home.
I understand people's curiosity about where we're at in the case as far as investigation. I know people speculate, and I understand that.
The TBI is still looking for the driver of that Toyota pickup truck. It's a red or maroon 1998 to 2000 model, possibly a Tacoma, with a full bed ladder rack with white buckets in the truck bed. In the Beach Creek community, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
In the past 3 days, deputies have arrested the father of missing 5-year-old Summer Wells twice, the most recent being today while he was in court.
Don Wells was initially arrested Saturday on several charges, including driving under the influence. During an arraignment this morning, the judge appointed Wells a public defender and reset the hearing to February.
While in court, Wells was arrested for violation of probation. He was released on his own recognizance, meaning he did not post bail money, but pledged in writing to appear in court for all upcoming proceedings.
News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel was in court today, where Wells told the judge he has been working on his house and, in his words, things for welfare to get his boys back.
Josh and Sarah, Donald Wells did appear for an arraignment here in Rogersville earlier this morning. He was here over those DUI charges from this past weekend, and while he was being arraigned, he was arrested again for violation of probation. We are working to determine what exactly he violated. However, a gag order has been issued on the Child Protective Services case involving he and Candace Bly's older sons. It was issued by Juvenile Court Judge Daniel Boyd, and it reads, all parties to this action are hereby prohibited from discussing this matter or the children with the media or any other non-essential person, entity, and/or uninvolved or disinterred parties or person. Wells confirmed to me back in July that their older sons had been taken by Child Protective Services, but he wouldn't tell me why. I did reach out to the court-appointed attorneys for the Wells family about why a gag order was placed on a juvenile court case, which is normally already kept confidential anyways. I did hear back from one who declined to comment, and I'm still waiting on a response from the other. In Rogersville, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Both Don Wells and Summer's mother, Candace Bly, are set to appear in a recorded Phil segment this month and talk about their daughter's disappearance. The show recently released this promo teasing the episode, but didn't give an exact air date. 5-year-old Summer Wells was reported missing by her family from her Hawkins County home June 15th. A Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Amber Alert remains active tonight, and the TBI continues to ask for credible tips. Call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email the address on your screen. Today, the ground search for 5-year-old Summer Wells is not nearly as visible to the public as it was 1 month ago.
But the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office describes the search for the child as active and intense. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says as of today it's received 970 tips. No credible leads, though, in the search for the missing child.
News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel talked with emergency teams about their role in the search and where it stands now. Ansley?
Josh and Sarah, the incident commander for ground search operations told me that just because the search for Summer Wells was scaled back in June, his team has not quit looking for the missing 5-year-old.
There's been very limited ground searching since the scaling back. Right now, in essence, all we're pretty much going off of, like I said, is anything credible leads, credible information.
Officials announced on June 27th that the ground search for Summer Wells would be on an as-needed basis.
I don't feel like that I made the decision to quit. We haven't quit. It was just we had to scale back, get our bearings back together, allow these people to rest and recuperate, to figure out where can we go next, what can we hit aggressively next, what can we do to find Summer Wells.
Tim Coop led almost 1,200 people from 120 different agencies during the 13-day search in the Beach Creek community. That call to scale back still weighs heavy.
Speaking with command staff, speaking to subject matter experts that were involved from other agencies, out of state, getting together every day. Hey, this is what we've covered. This is the probability. This is putting all these things together to make the decision. I can say made the decision easier, but it didn't. Still, at the end of the day, it was very difficult to make the decision of scaling back operations to only go off of credible leads.
Coop is still working with authorities as tips come in and is in touch with those who assisted from in and out of state. He assures that every crew is ready whenever the call comes.
Even if it's ground that has already been searched 1 to multiple times, be in contact with TBI, Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, if it's something they feel as though needs to be a credible search, needs to go back in and look over things again, we're right there with them.
Captain Coop told me that the search for Summer Wells has impacted his teams physically, mentally, and emotionally. You'll hear more about the help available to them tonight at 6. Josh?
Ansley, thank you. Again, anyone with information about where Summer is, call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tips2TBI@tn.gov.
John, thanks. Also tonight, the reward fund for Summer Wells is closing in on nearly $60,000. The Churchill Rescue Squad said today the total amount right now is $58,634. The money includes 2 donations totaling $35,000. The remaining $23,000 is money from contributions made at the bank or mailed to the rescue squad. The total amount increased by $18,000 in less than a month. On October 5th, the fund totaled just over $40,000. If you know any credible information that will help locate Summer Wells, call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tipstotbi@tn.gov.
Another top story tonight, new questions about the status of a big reward fund to find Summer Wells.
And tonight it appears the money donated as an incentive to find the child who's been missing for more than a year is for some reason going to be taken up in court.
And last week, June 15th, that marked 1 year since the Hawkins County girl was reported missing. It was also the self-imposed deadline for the rescue squad to do something with the reward fund. That fund, operated by the Churchill Rescue Squad, totaling more than $74,000. All that money given from our last update, according to the January update.
Tonight, the Rescue Squad Board of Directors met to discuss the future of that money. We've learned more information will be contained in some sort of a legal proceeding that's set to be filed next week.
Well, John Janko has the latest on what we do know tonight about this developing story.
Tonight, the Churchill Rescue Squad Board of Directors met in a closed session regarding the Summer Wells Reward Fund. We staked out the meeting waiting for Captain Tim Coop to emerge. When he did, he provided us with the following statement.
There have been some questions raised in regards to distributing the reward fund. We have been advised to and will be paying the reward fund money to the court and ask them to determine the proper resolution of the matter. Upon advice of counsel, that is all I can say at this time.
Coop did not clarify what exactly would be decided in court or which court would be deciding the fate of the fund. He also didn't say who represents the rescue squad as legal counsel. He could confirm the rescue squad is still in possession of the fund, but could not tell us the amount. Is there a legal matter here?
At this point, that's all I can say.
With the reward fund's future uncertain, the Wells family media manager provided News Channel 11 a statement on behalf of Dawn Wells. Quote, "This is important to keep the reward fund. This is our daughter. People gave money for Summer to help. The case is still very active. Don't take this from her." Dawn Wells had this to say back in October when the reward fund was originally set to expire.
I just don't feel that that's right, that they're just going to give up on her in a couple more months. We don't feel that it's right, and a lot of people don't feel that it's right. We wish we could change it or do something about it.
Here's what we do know. The last update we received on the fund had the amount at almost $74,000 in January. 2 donations of $25,000 and $10,000 make up a large portion of the fund. The fund was set to expire last December, but was extended in October to June 15th of last week. News Channel 11 learned that a Fall Branch business owner named T.R. Ward provided the $10,000 donation. Ward asked to remain off camera, but said the rescue squad messaged him asking if he wanted the check back as the reward fund expired June 15th. If Summer was not found or recovered by that deadline, the rescue squad initially said the money would be donated to the Children's Advocacy Center for Hawkins County. We don't know the status of that donation at this time. In Churchill, John Janko, News Channel 11.
Sheriff Ronnie Lawson told us tonight the law enforcement investigation of Summer's disappearance has been and remains separate from the reward fund. We've reached out to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation about the reward. We have not heard back.
Reaction tonight from a Tri-Cities doctor and an education leader about the impact of removing Juul vape products off of store shelves. Juul, a major e-cigarette company, has been ordered by the FDA to pull its product out of the U.S. Leslie Earhart.
Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Earhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. The status is the same as it was on Monday when we last held a media briefing. We're still trying to find Summer. It's now been 1 week and 2 days since she went missing. There's still two aspects of this case, the active search and the investigation. You'll hear more about the search in just a minute. TBI agents and Hawkins County detectives working alongside the FBI continue to work around the clock to determine what happened to Summer Wells. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we can't discuss everything we're doing and have done to find Summer. Here's what we can tell you. Numerous residents and individuals associated with the family have been interviewed. Surveillance video and photos have been reviewed, as well as other potential digital evidence. We're still working to identify everyone in the area on the afternoon that Summer went missing. One of you asked us in a previous briefing the standard amount of time it takes for a case like this to be resolved. While every case is different, this one is definitely outside of the norm. Typically, in an investigation like this one, we have some idea of where the case is headed and what might have happened within a few days. In this situation, despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear. I understand the lack of answers frustrates you in the public, but trust me, no one is more frustrated than we are. If we develop information that will lead to locating Summer, we will share that with you first and foremost. In the meantime, we ask anyone with information who hasn't come forward to please call 1-800-TBI-FIND. I'll turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
Thank you. Just to go along with Leslie, I know there's a lot of social media going on out there, a lot of detectives going on, but they're absolutely useless unless these people that's 100% positive call 1-800-TBI-FIND. That means nothing. We're monitoring all social media and everything that you all put out from people that you all interview. And I assure you, you'd have to work very hard to find somebody that we hadn't talked to. They may not tell you. One point I want to make and clear up, obviously, is a couple of days ago I asked for the public not to help us in our search in the woods and stuff. That is because we know where every searcher is, where every team is, and the captain and his staff, they're tracking everyone. So if we get the general public in the woods, they don't know about it, then they're going to get missed when they go home or don't go home. So it's going to be somebody else that we have to generate time and information and resources to find. What I did ask for, and I still need, is all the people in Upper Beech Creek, in Hawkins and Sullivan County, to search their property again and again. You got to look for a small child. You have to look for evidence of a small child's been. And if you got field cameras, if you got security cameras, we need you to check those again. Just keep checking them and checking them. We're trying to find every vehicle is in this holler they're living since we started this. And we also did a roadblock, which helped at the same time that she was reported missing, to see if we come in contact with somebody that's been working that we could see. Obviously, there's nothing came out of that, but it's just another tool that we've used to make this happen. So if the general public that lives in this area will go back and search their outbuildings, their barns, their hay fields. Now it's mowing season, so when they mow, they need to pay attention. And if you have a resident that cannot search their property themselves, if they'll call my office at 423-272-4848, I will send an officer to your residence to search your property for you. It's a cooperation that we must need. I know some of the residents are probably getting frustrated with seeing the officers, but as the captain will tell you, we've had very intense operations all week long for 9 days now. And we're not done yet because, like I told you from day one, it's about finding Summer. That's the number one goal here. Captain?
Thank you, Sheriff. As of June 24th, 2021, search and rescue efforts for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells continues. We have now utilized 106 agencies spanning from Tennessee, Ohio, Virginia, Alabama, Georgia, and North Carolina assisting in these search efforts. Numerous specialized search and rescue groups with numerous canine teams have been represented from each of these agencies. To date, we have covered over 4.6 square miles, with that being over 3,000 acres being searched since Tuesday night when she was reported missing. The rugged mountainous terrain continues to cause problems. This has slowed search operations down in these areas, but please be rest assured, while incurring these conditions, we are still searching with an aggressive approach with extreme attention to detail. These terrains and conditions have exhausted crews both physically and mentally. We are still utilizing local and regional resources, but have had to call upon and utilize resources from Middle and West Tennessee, along with out-of-state resources, to bring a fresh set of eyes and rested bodies into the search operations. Search efforts will continue on a more specialized team basis throughout the rest of the week. Just because you may not see us in such a large presence, once again, rest assured, we are still out here searching for Summer Wales. We will continue to work with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department, TBI, and FBI until we find Summer Wales. As mentioned before, as Sheriff here mentioned, please continue to search your personal property. Sullivan County, Hawkins County, mainly the Beech Creek community, and even if you branch a little bit further, please search. And I've been telling these searchers here the last several days, when you're looking for this property, you're not looking for an adult laying there. You're not looking for an adult hiding in the building. We're looking for a 5-year-old girl that weighed approximately 40 pounds. Somebody that size could wad up, could hide in an area that a legal size piece of paper or a folded up laptop could go. This is also the reason why we are exhausting all efforts. This terrain, as you can see behind us, guys, is only a small, very small percentage of what these guys day in and day out are going through. I've had multiple of my guys come up to me and tell me, Captain, I'll go to the end, but I'm tired. I am physically and I am mentally tired. We are all one team, and we will not quit until we find Summer Wales. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
Have you searched some of these areas over and over again numerous times, some of these hills and things like that?
Absolutely. Captain, can you answer that question?
Yes, so over these 4.6 square miles, and I'll kind of elaborate on some of these specialized teams. There's some of these areas, guys, we have covered 4, 5, and 6 times. And we have community members, media outlets reaching out going, well, we have neighbors saying you're covering the same ground. We are. New ground, same ground, different eyes, fresh bodies. Guys, one flat looking field, there's 100 places something could be hid, evidence, and or she could be hid. So yes, we have covered multiple ground multiple times, and we'll continue to do so.
Captain Coop, I know some award has been talked about. I know your agency, Churchill Rescue Squad, is apparently in charge of that. Can you give us some details on what a reward looks like right now?
Yes, so there has been some people that have reached out to our agency, reached out to TBI and the Sheriff's Department about providing reward money for information leading up to the finding and or recovery of Summer Wales. At this time, I can confirm that is correct and that our agency is working to get this account set up. Once this information is available, our agency will provide a media release with this information on how the general public can also give money for this. But at the same point in time, guys, we're running on limited resources, and we're trying everything we can do that without interfering with the search for Summer Wales.
Leslie, at this point in the search and investigation, do you believe Summer Wales is still alive?
We hope so, but honestly, we just don't know. I mean, we're holding out hope, doing everything we can. Obviously, we typically would have found a child at this stage in the investigation, so honestly, we just don't know.
How many tips has the TBI received so far?
I don't have the exact number with me, but it's well over 300 at this point.
I know we've all spoken with the family, and they've talked about sort of what led up to that missing incident here. Can you just just sort of elaborate on what you guys know for sure happened before she went missing that Tuesday night?
We can't release any more than what we've already provided. We know that she was supposedly with family members outside of her home, was seen going into the home. When her mother went to check on her, she was not in the house.
Sheriff, I know you mentioned before that you haven't had to obtain any search warrants. Is that still the case?
My office has not obtained any search warrants, and I really don't know if the other agencies has. I've been coordinating with the captain here and the investigators. They're all working together, and we haven't briefed each other this afternoon.
What about lie detector tests? Has anybody been given those?
I think you can address this.
Well, it's no secret that the TBI has a polygraph unit. We don't discuss specifics, but I can tell you that we use that as an investigative tool. In a situation like this, we're going to use every resource and tool available to us.
There's been billboards seen in Myrtle Beach. Are you guys aware of that? And has the search taken you guys even out of state to some extent?
We follow up on all leads that come in, even if they're out of state. We have received some tips from other states, but they didn't prove to be credible leads. We are aware of the billboards. That's not something the TBI coordinates, but we appreciate the effort.
Leslie, are cadaver dogs being used as part of the K-9 teams being brought in?
Absolutely, yes.
No law enforcement outside of the house today. Any reason for that?
There's no reason. We have had agents and officers to just touch base with the family on a daily basis. So they were there earlier. The family continues to cooperate at this time. If we have questions, they answer our questions. If we need them to come to the command post to clarify some information, they respond. So they've been very cooperative.
Speaking of the command post, we have noticed some larger FBI presence as well, including like an FBI, I believe it's called a card team. Could you just elaborate a little bit on their role in this investigation? What do they do?
They're just another resource available. Now, I would refer you to the FBI for specifics on what that team does, but they specialize in missing children cases. And again, we're using all resources available. They've been here since last weekend, and we were in communication with them before last weekend. So it's just another resource, and we're grateful for any help we can get.
Leslie, now on day 10, do you guys feel like you have more information, better informed than you did on day 1 Tuesday night?
We don't. We still don't know where Summer is. We don't know what happened to her, and it's extremely frustrating. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is. The sheriff has worked around the clock. His team's worked around the clock. The search crews, TBI agents, FBI agents, we're doing everything we can to find her, but to not have any more answers than we do at this stage, it's just heartbreaking.
Have you been able to narrow down the timeline any more than when she went missing?
Not any more than what we originally released. We know that her family reported her missing. They called the sheriff's office around 6:30. Prior to that, it was early afternoon when she was last seen, and they searched for a little bit and then reported her missing.
How many hours would you say?
I don't have that information.
Question for Captain or Sheriff, what's the biggest obstacle standing in your way? Is it the heat? Is it just the fatigue? Is it the terrain? What do you think is the number one thing that's hurting you guys in this investigation?
To say hurt this investigation on my aspect of things, nothing's hurting us. We encounter difficult situations so far, and we overcome them situations. From here on out, it is going to be providing our team the rest and assurance to make sure that we can provide more and more fresh-bodied, fresh eyes to be able to come in and help search for Summer Wells.
As far as my office, it's been pretty hard because my office don't stop. We're still answering calls, still doing investigations that come in, and we're still running the jail, but I'm alternating the officers out. And like's been said, everyone, the command post been there this week, everyone now is getting mentally and physically and emotionally just drained. And we're gonna have to rehab and start back again, but we're not gonna stop, we're gonna find something.
Is there anything the community can do to help you guys at this point? I know that everyone's been bringing food and water and stuff like that. Is there anything else that you guys need?
Actually, I think they've done everything they possibly could. We've even getting fresh home-cooked meals from churches and things brought in, and we have meals for all the officers and searchers and investigators, but enormous outpour of support shown by this community and actually people here in East Tennessee. We're very pleased.
Hey guys, thank you for coming out. I know a couple of you had questions asking why we are not having daily media briefings. The simple answer is we just haven't had any new information to provide. But just because we don't have a briefing doesn't mean that you can't reach out to us and ask any questions you may have. And of course, we are going to continue to post updates on Twitter and the TBI Facebook page. And feel free to check with us if you have any additional questions or need clarification. Thank you. Take care. Good afternoon. I'm Leslie Earhart with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. We can't thank you enough for your continuing coverage and helping us get the word out about summer. Before I turn it over to Captain Coop, I want to reiterate that there are two aspects of this investigation: the search and the investigation itself. You've heard a lot about the search because that's something we can elaborate on. What you haven't heard a lot about is what's happening outside of the search. Rest assured that agents and Hawkins County detectives are investigating this fully. All avenues are being explored. As of this afternoon, we've received approximately 85 tips. Agents and officers continue to follow up on each lead that comes in. At the same time, teams continue to search the area around Ben Hill Road for any sign of summer. Captain Tim Coop is with the Churchill Rescue Squad. He's currently serving as the incident commander for ground search operations. He's going to talk about the status of the search and the specialized teams being utilized today. Captain.
Thank you, Leslie. Once again, I wish we could be bringing you guys better news, but this time on the search side of operations, we have no further new news. The following methods are continuing to be used today to try to locate Summer. Ground crews comprised of over 100 trained professionals. Aerial and aviation being completed by helicopter and fixed-wing aircraft. Multiple canines, and also utilizing a specialized advanced mapping. The following new methods of search being utilized today are dive teams, hazardous and extreme terrain search teams, subject matter experts. We have deployed the state TAC and radio system to increase radio coverage for search and law enforcement efforts. USAR, the urban search and rescue teams, and also have deployed state and federal resources. At this time, we have a total of 41 agencies involved in being represented in the search for summer whales. We have, at the completion of search efforts as of yesterday, the 17th, we have covered 688 acres of ground of extreme terrain. We're on the track to completing a total of 1,000 acres of land covered thoroughly by today's search efforts. Once again, as we have stated, we are still experiencing steep and dangerous terrain, which causes our teams to become exhausted very quick. We are and will continue to work with and alongside local, state, and federal search and law enforcement agencies to locate summer whales, which is our ultimate mission to complete. Thank you. I'll now hand it over to Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for coming. We are amazed at the amount of attention this has. A lot of it is because of you all, but we are monitoring all social medias. We are just overwhelmed with the support of the community. I've been in law enforcement almost 44 years, and I've never seen an outpour of a community supporting any other cause, because they know it's all about finding summer. We have a lot of people praying. We have a lot of people with boots on the ground. Just like Leslie said, we have 2 investigations going, and I can assure you that the investigation on part of law enforcement is extremely intense. It's just like the boots on the ground and all the searching is going on, coordinated by Captain here. It's very, very hard. The volunteers are great, and we really don't need the general public. As the captain said, we got trained professionals in the woods. We know exactly where they are, how they're doing. They check on them routinely. We know how many is out there, who's out there, and we know when they come back. If the general public helps, then we will not know they're out there, and we could lose somebody else. We're still wanting people to call 1-800-TBI-FINE for information, any they have. And like I said yesterday, everything's on the table. We're trying to find exactly what happened to this young lady, and we're not going to stop until we find her.
Does anybody have any questions? We'll take a couple.
Yes, I have a question for Captain Coop. In speaking with dive teams, what are you guys actually doing with that? Is that searching ponds, creeks, lakes? Could you just elaborate a little bit more on what that search has looked like? We talked about ground aerial.
Yes. So our specialized teams, as I spoke on, the USAR, the dive teams, as both Sheriff Ray Lawson and Leslie spoke, we are pursuing every avenue. We're covering every ground cover. We're covering every aspect. At the end of it, if we don't cover it, we have to cover everything 100%. We're utilizing them just to clear waterways, areas that we can't put our normal people into, the canines, stuff that aerial cannot see that well. We want to get in there, flip every rock, check every crevice, check every spot, just to make sure we don't miss a spot.
Are there a lot of streams back in this area or ponds?
Yes.
Can you give us, I know we can kind of see some of the lush vegetation and what's happening in the sky, but what's it like back there for you all?
Yes, there are numerous streams and creeks that run back out of the mountains on both sides of Beach Creek Road, along with Beach Creek itself. And there are lots of ponds, holding spots for livestock and other things that we feel are just as important as the rest of the search efforts.
Sheriff, I have a question for you as far as the investigation goes. I know you probably can't comment on a whole lot, but are you able to say that you've executed any search warrants during this time?
Actually, we've done a tremendous amount of searches, and every one has been a consent search. The community has really stood out. They want to help. They want to give advice. They want to give information. And we've not had to obtain not one search warrant. And it due part that everybody in the community is wanting to find Summer.
And Leslie, I know you talk about credible tips. Can you kind of go into what is a credible tip?
If you have information about Summer, if you saw Summer the day she went missing, anything like that, if you captured a photo on a trail camera or surveillance camera, that's a credible tip. Anything that would assist us. Something you see on social media that you know is somebody's opinion or just speculation, that's not a credible tip. In fact, that just bogs law enforcement down by having us, we have to go through and check that information and then mark it off. So please, credible tips, we welcome information, but just don't share speculation and rumors that you see on social media.
I have a question. I'm kind of reluctant to ask it, but is there a point in this search when you all will come to the conclusion that this is not a lost child anymore? This is possibly an abduction? Is there an amount of time or amount of territory?
Well, at this time, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance are very much under investigation. So currently, it's an active and ongoing investigation. We're not going to stop until we determine what happened to her, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
What has the interaction been like with the child's parents? I know that they've spoken with us on and off the record about interactions with law enforcement, mentioning polygraph kits and so forth. Can you speak to us a little bit about the interaction with the parents and how they've helped or not helped with the investigation?
All I can say in that aspect is that they're currently cooperating.
When we also spoke with Mr. Wells, you mentioned some leads being followed up on local sex offenders as well as people in this area who often buy drugs. Can you confirm those details of whether those things happening?
I cannot. I can just tell you that any information we have, any lead that comes in, we're going to follow up on that, and all avenues are being explored.
How are crews feeling right now? Again, back to Captain Coop and Sheriff Lawson. How are they handling this right now, especially with we've kind of seen an increase in temperature outside?
So, as stated before, the outpouring of community and businesses in this area, they are very limited on the time. Once they get certain areas of covered, they are being required to come back to the command post and staging area to rehab. Plenty of water, Powerade, Gatorade, food, protein bars, stuff to keep them hydrated and nourished during this whole entire time. And as one stated before I left, they are also 100% involved. They said we will not stop.
As far as the law enforcement aspect, well, you know, we have the TBI system in my office and the FBI, and it's a partnership and a joint operation where if somebody comes in with a tip, just whichever agent standing there, whichever officer, it's mine, one of the TBI or FBI agents, they jump on it. It doesn't matter who solves the case, whatever. We just want to find Summer. That's first and foremost.
One more question.
I actually have one last question regarding something that the father told us yesterday. He was saying that she would never leave their sort of hill where they live, and he highly believes that this is an abduction. Is there anything that you can say that maybe could point to that? He mentioned something about the canines going along a trail that runs dead. So is there anything that you guys have seen that proves this, or is there any sign that that may be true?
We're exploring all avenues, so at this time we can't confirm that. However, in the event that we do develop that information and confirm it was an abduction and have information to share, you will be the first to know. And we want to reassure the community that we will let them know immediately. That's information that we would want to get out to the public as quickly as possible. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you being here. We'll continue to update you as updates become available. Thank you.
35 different rescue squads from across the region and the United States flooded into Hawkins County this weekend to help search for 5-year-old Summer Wells. You're watching News Channel 11 and ABC Tri-Cities at 11. I'm Kelly Grossfield. Summer disappeared Tuesday night from her home in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. Her parents say she went out of a door in their basement and she hasn't been seen since. Crews estimate they've been searching about 2,400 acres since Tuesday night. Tonight marks night 6 of searching for Summer, with daily efforts wrapping up around 8 p.m. each night. But last night they went far beyond that, with crews working well into the early morning hours. Now take another look at this photo. This is Summer. She has blonde hair, blue eyes, and stands about 3 feet tall. Bianca Murray spoke with Summer's father again today, a Father's Day spent without his little girl. Bianca, what did he have to say?
Kelly, Father's Day is supposed to be a celebration that families can enjoy. Well, Don Wells, Summer Wells' father, told me he just wants his daughter back. And unfortunately, he told me his wish goes ungranted this evening.
I think it's really tough on all the people out here that are missing Father's Day, and it's making them a little bit edgy, and we're a little bit edgy. My wife is real edgy, and it's getting tougher, I think, for everybody.
Since Summer went missing Tuesday night, Don Wells says the Department of Children's Services has helped their family work through the trauma, but he says Summer's brothers are not doing too well.
They kind of fighting more than usual and stuff, and they got into it first thing this morning, and the team come up running up the hill. They heard screams, and so I've been trying to keep it down.
Summer's siblings aren't the only ones struggling. Her father tells me her mother is also worried about the 5-year-old little girl.
She'd be frantic. I mean, she's having a hard time, and she'll be okay for a little bit, and then, I mean, she's up and down.
This Father's Day, Wells tells me his worst fear has been realized.
Do you think at this point that she is still alive?
I don't know. Hopefully, yes. Depending on how bad or what's going on with her. I mean, there's always hope.
He told me that law enforcement is still blocking the entrance to their driveway to unauthorized vehicles in the hopes that Summer returns safely. However, he tells me that it is taking a toll on his family, and they hope that she is found safe and soon. Reporting live in the Beach Creek community, Bianca Murray, News Channel 11.
Bianca, thank you. As of this afternoon, TBI has received 137 tips in this case. Officials tell us they're following up on all credible leads. If you have a credible tip or information that could lead to finding Summer Wells, contact the TBI immediately. That information is on your screen.
Jeremy, thank you. The father of Summer Wells, a girl who's been missing out of Hawkins County for more than a year, has been released from jail. Wells was not serving time in connection with his daughter's disappearance, instead for a DUI arrest in October of 2021. This past summer, Wells had a 6-month hearing where the judge decided he would be released this week without having to complete any rehabilitation. During his time behind bars, he wrote letters to his daughter's alleged captors. To date, nobody has been charged in her disappearance.
Crews are back on the ground in Hawkins County for day 2 in their planned small-scale search for missing 6-year-old Summer Wells. Thanks for joining us. I'm Casey Marler. March 15th will mark 9 months since family members say they last saw Summer at their Beach Creek community home. News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel joins us live where search efforts are underway. Hi, Ansley.
Hey, Casey. Yes, there are searchers out here from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation as well as the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. I'm told those are the only 2 agencies working this search group today. There are also some canines here as well. Now, this is the command center that was set up back in the height of that search back in June of last year. Now, in an interview this morning, Sheriff Lawson says 9 months later, authorities aren't any closer to finding the missing 5-year-old, but searches like this are just a part of this investigation.
We actually have not stopped looking for Summer. This is just another part of it that we are looking over some ground we've been on before and maybe some new ground we hadn't covered and just trying to turn up anything we possibly can to find this little girl.
Now, these crews are assigned to specific areas out here in Beach Creek. I'm told that some of this is mountainous terrain and some of it is also open field searching. Live in Beach Creek, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Tonight marks 5 weeks in the disappearance of 5-year-old Summer Wells. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says they've received more than 1,000 tips.
A Midwest rescue group will return to the region this weekend. Their goal to once again help crews search for Summer. Tonight we're learning more about the challenges that rescuers faced in the initial ground search. News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel joins us live from our Kingsport newsroom.
Ansley, Hawkins County leaders are expected to address one of the main issues in a meeting tomorrow, right?
Josh and Sarah, even before Summer Wells' disappearance, the radio systems and lack of cell service were hot-button issues in Hawkins County, with some people not able to reach 911 at times, and even those who use that radio system for EMS and first responder services not able to communicate with each other. After this search for Summer expanded, those issues were highlighted, even brought up during press conferences from law enforcement and search leaders. The operations on the ground have been a topic for county officials in several different meetings now, and tomorrow, how those issues impacted that ground search is expected to dominate the conversation at a public safety committee meeting. In an interview with News Channel 11 last week, the incident commander of search operations, Captain Tim Coop, said Washington and Sullivan counties and the state bringing in equipment to extend that signal made all of the difference.
The only thing that hindered this search operations at the start for the first several days was radio communications. Beforehand, there's no way we could have done the search operations and covered the underground we covered with the peace of mind knowing that if something happened, we could get them help. The command structure could get them help until that radio system was there.
While there have been issues for years, in December of 2019, that radio system failed, and after that, those who used the radio systems reported clicking and static noises during phone calls. Neither the Public Safety Committee chair nor the county's EMA director were available for interviews today. While the search for Summer Wells is not an agenda item tomorrow, it is expected to come up in each director's report. That meeting is set for tomorrow at 3 p.m. Live in the Kingsport newsroom, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Ansley, thanks. Now, if you have any information that can help investigators, call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email the address that's on your screen. First tonight, more than 5 months after an Amber Alert was issued for Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells, teams were back in the Beach Creek community to resume their search efforts.
Now, for the first time in months, TBI agents led a large-scale search on the ground and by air in the rural area around Summer's home. Summer was reported missing by her family the evening of June 15th. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation issued an Amber Alert the next day, and it remains active tonight. Emergency personnel from at least 6 states spent weeks scouring that area around the family home with no sign of the girl. Well, today they were back. Months later, dozens of members of search teams returned to the Beech Creek community. The TBI posted these pictures you're seeing here on Twitter earlier today, showing that large-scale search with crews walking and flying above the area.
Bianca Murray joins us now live from the Beech Creek community tonight with more on why TBI and other law enforcement agencies were back in that area today. Bianca?
Well, Josh and Sarah, law enforcement tell us they actually planned to return to the search grounds when they were here last, just to see if they had missed anything in the thick vegetation. Crews from about a dozen agencies returned to Beech Creek to launch their second full-scale official search of the area immediately surrounding the Wells home on Ben Hill Road.
We want to wait till this time of year after the frost and that the leaves are off the trees, we can see better and do a more detailed search, hopefully to find some kind of evidence that would help us find Summer.
Local, state and federal resources were again utilized in today's search. Sheriff Lawson saying they used aircraft, drones, search dogs and ground crews to search every area that they may have missed something when the vegetation was too thick in the summer. I'm told that TBI has received roughly 1,500 tips in the search for Summer. Authorities ask anyone in the Beech Creek area to continue to search their properties and to go over trail camera footage in case any evidence of Summer's whereabouts surfaces. Now, crews are wrapping up their search for the day as the sun sets. We're not sure if they are going to return tomorrow. Live in Beech Creek, Bianca Murray, News Channel 11.
Bianca, thanks. And that Amber Alert for 5-year-old Summer Wells remains active. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation continues to ask for any credible tips to be phoned in at 1-800-TBI-FIND or email them to tipstotbi@tn.gov.
For more than 6 months, the case of missing 5-year-old Summer Wells has dominated headlines in our region and caught the attention of people across the country. Tonight, Summer is still missing. The case began as an endangered child alert issued by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation back on June 15th. The next day, TBI elevated that to an Amber Alert. And now, more than 6 months later, the Amber Alert is still active. In recent months, people have met to search for Summer and to pray for her return. Bianca Murray's in Kingsport tonight, where a group announced it would gather tonight to pray for Summer. Bianca, what's happening there?
Josh, a prayer circle like this one is held every Tuesday, which is the day that Summer Wells was reported missing. Now, people from the community and all over the world join in here at Borden Park as well as online to pray for Summer's safe return.
Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
That plea from Summer's mom echoed by her father months later.
Me and Candace know for a fact that Summer was abducted. We know that.
From day one, law enforcement have maintained that theory is unlikely.
At this time, there is no evidence that she was abducted. However, all avenues continue to be explored, including foul play and the very real possibility that she wandered off and became lost in the mountainous and rough terrain surrounding her home.
Questions remain after neighbors describe their experiences from June 15th.
It was a jumbled mess. She was like, Summer's missing, I can't find her. I'm like, look, I heard her scream earlier. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm looking for her now. But every day I wake up and I wonder what I could have done.
The case and everyone surrounding Summer scrutinized on social media, her parents often admitting to receiving threats online.
The only reason we put all her pictures out there and the only reason we done all these things was to try to help find Summer, but it turned into a living nightmare.
People banding together to put up posters, social media posts and billboard to help find Summer.
We need one person to say something. That's all we need.
In early December, nearly 6 months after her disappearance, ground crews returned to Beech Creek to search the area that was far too overgrown over the summer months to properly search, all to no avail.
Investigators have executed numerous search warrants, collecting all potential evidence. We've spoken with anyone and everyone associated with the Wells family, in some cases more than once. This includes neighbors, acquaintances, and those working in the area the day she disappeared.
The case leaving veteran law enforcement befuddled.
I've been through a lot in the last 44 years, seen a lot, investigated a lot, but this is one of the top ones.
Her parents still begging for her return.
We just wish Summer could come home.
At this time, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance are very much under investigation. So currently, it's an active and ongoing investigation. We're not going to stop until we determine what happened to her, and we're just taking it one day at a time.
Those words spoken by TBI spokesperson Leslie Earhart in June were exactly the words she told me this morning when I asked about the investigation into Summer's disappearance. She said there are no updates, but they are still actively investigating and it is still ongoing. Live in Kingsport, Bianca Marais, News Channel 11.
Bianca, thank you. We are still covering it closely 6 months later. If you have information about the disappearance of 5-year-old Summer Wells, we will repeat now what we have repeated for months. The TBI wants to hear from you. Credible tips can be called into the number, sent into the email there on your screen. News Channel 11's Ansley Daniels been covering the story since the beginning.
Yeah, Ansley, dozens of agencies, organizations have pitched in and volunteered in the search for Summer. Now with these efforts scaled back, what do we know about this search and where it goes from here?
Josh and Sarah, that's a really hard question to answer, but budget season is underway for a struggling Hawkins County, and that is for sure. And commissioners are now working to figure out how to help fund the sheriff's department and the other rescue squads that were there on the scene working to find the little girl.
And this is a disaster, right? So a little girl went missing. This is as big of a disaster as you can imagine for us, really.
As all eyes were on Hawkins County during the ground search for Summer Wells, commissioners want to be sure those departments are funded.
A search of this scale and of this magnitude, I felt like probably drained some resources for the rescue agencies that are volunteer. And for our sheriff's department, you know, I know there are literally thousands of man hours spent out there, and it's not over. And you know what that looks like for our budget.
Last week, Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said he didn't have exact totals for how much the search for the missing girl cost his department.
My patrol division, that's the officers goes out and answer the calls and stuff, and my school resource officers, just those two groups alone, they accumulated over 3,200 hours. That's not counting the rest of the division.
The search also highlighted issues with the communication system in the county and depleted funds and resources from other agencies, including rescue squads and those that are volunteer-based.
It's going to cost a lot of money, and the thing is that if it's going to cost this amount of money, we just have to figure out how to resource the sheriff's department. It's not a matter of, you know, it's going to cost this much money, so we can't continue the search. That's not part of the conversation at all. This conversation is more about how can we resource our first responders to be able to do the job we paid them to do.
Hawkins County is heading into this fiscal year on a $2 million deficit and plans to make up the money from their reserve fund. While money can be moved around, Commissioner Hannah Weiniger wonders what other costs the counties could have if funding had to be cut back for those agencies.
If these rescue organizations fold in the county, I mean, we have to have these organizations, we have to have these type of things. So if they fold, what does that look like, and what would that cost the county to pay, you know, county employees to do these kind of services?
This upcoming year's budget for the county will go to the full commission at the end of this month. Now, it's important to make it clear that this is only the total for the Sheriff's Department's entire operating costs, not necessarily individual investigations. Now, both Commissioner Weiniger and Roach say that they expect the commission to move money around as needed when the Sheriff's Department and these other agencies come to them with the totals from this search.
Ansley, thanks. And investigators are still looking for the driver of a red Toyota Tacoma, a full bed ladder rack in the back. We're told the TBI stresses that the driver is a potential witness, not a suspect. To submit a tip, call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND or send your tip through an email to tipstotbi@tn.gov.
Live, you're watching News Channel 11 at 6:30.
It's been 6 nights since 5-year-old Summer Wells disappeared from her Hawkins County home. It's what many consider to be a parent's worst nightmare. And this Father's Day, the best gift the Wells family could receive is finding Summer safe. You're watching News Channel 11 at 6:30. I'm Kelly Grossfield. Take another look at this photo. This is Summer. She has blonde hair, blue eyes, and stands about 3 feet tall. The search for her continues tonight with efforts expected to last until 8. But last night they went far beyond that, with crews searching in fields near the home with flashlights and helicopters as well, all into the early morning hours. We've been following the search efforts all day today as well. Bianca Murray joins us live with the latest. Bianca.
Kelly, we're coming up on night 6 in the search for Summer Wells. Search teams today asking for reinforcements with a statewide call that is, to the Tennessee Association of Rescue Squads. Today we've seen teams from the Gatlinburg area here to help, as well as crews from not too far away in Greenville, Tennessee. The search continues, but so does the investigation into what happened to 5-year-old Summer. While what happened to her is still a mystery, I spoke with Summer's father on Friday, who said he believes she was taken. He said he's also facing some accusations, but he said the fact of the matter is he just wants his little girl found. He told us the police have to rule out all suspects, including himself.
Well, I think that they have to do that. They can't rule out anybody. I mean, it's their job is to rule out everybody. They're just doing their job, what they got to do, and everybody welcomes them to do their job, you know, for sure. We really appreciate what they've done.
The TBI reported today that since Tuesday, nearly 70 agencies from across Tennessee, as well as other states, have joined in the search for Summer. We're told crews do plan to wrap up the search tonight at 8 p.m. However, if there are any tips or leads, they will continue to search into the night as they did last night. Reporting live from the Beach Creek community, I'm Bianca Murray for News Channel 11.
Bianca, thank you. Again, tonight marks the 6th night since Summer Wells disappeared. As of this afternoon, TBI has received 137 tips in this case. Officials tell us they're following up on all credible leads. If you have a credible tip or information that could lead to finding Summer Wells, contact the TBI immediately. That information is on your screen.
First tonight, the parents of Summer Wells tells News Channel 11 the state of Tennessee has removed their other children from their custody. It was 6 days ago that the Department of Children's Services first confirmed to News Channel 11 they were involved in a case of the missing girl who has now not been seen for 6 weeks. Ansley Daniels spoke with Candace Bly and Don Wells following a hearing in Hawkins County earlier today. She joins us live from Kingsport with details. Ansley?
Yes, Sarah, both Donald Wells and Candace Bly appeared in juvenile court around 1 p.m. earlier this afternoon in Hawkins County. After that appearance, I spoke with them outside, where they both confirmed to me that their children were taken by the Department of Children's Services late last week. After that appearance, Summer's parents were emotional and declined to speak with me on camera. I did ask if they knew why their older children were removed from the home, and Candace told me that she would rather not say and wanted to be clear that Summer's disappearance and DCS's involvement with her other children are separate situations. She also told me that they now have a lawyer but would not share that lawyer's information. Don Wells told me that his older children are safer where they are now, but he did not elaborate or specify how. Due to this case involving minors and per Hawkins County's Justice Center's policy, I was not allowed to be in the courtroom or even take a phone or camera inside the lobby. They both walked into the center just a few minutes before their hearing, and upon arrival, they were escorted into a different courtroom away from the lobby from where everyone else was sitting. Right at 1 p.m., an officer came to get them to go into the juvenile courtroom. They left the annex separately, but arrived and left together in the same vehicle. Again, due to this situation involving minors, the juvenile court office could not provide any information or paperwork. I also checked with the clerk's office, who is over circuit, sessions, and criminal court, to see if there was any new paperwork filed for either of them, and was told that there was nothing new. But back here at Borden Park in Kingsport, another prayer circle for their daughter will be held in about an hour, which marks the 6th week since she was last seen. Live in Kingsport, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Ansley, thanks. Now, the Churchill Rescue Squad announced today it will no longer be the lead agency in the search for Summer Wells, saying the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office is now in charge of future ground searches. Meanwhile, the Amber Alert for Summer Wells issued by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation remains active. TBI says they've received just under 1,070 tips in the case, but have yet to get a solid lead on where Summer might be. If you have information you think could help locate her, contact TBI. If you see her, call 911 immediately.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're continuing to follow the search for Summer Wells, the Hawkins County 5-year-old who disappeared Tuesday night. This weekend, the search effort stretched far beyond the TBI and Hawkins County resources. Bianca Murray is live in the Beech Creek community where she's been following the efforts for today. Bianca, who else is helping in the search and what's the latest out there?
Kelly, night 6 in the search for Summer Wells just wrapped up around 8 o'clock tonight. Crews from over 70 agencies have gathered here in the Beech Creek community to look for the little girl. But what exactly happened to Summer Wells still remains a mystery. As of this afternoon, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation received 137 tips about Summer's whereabouts, with crews combing through thick vegetation, scaling steep hills, having search dogs follow trails, and even diving in creeks and ponds surrounding the Wells home on Ben Hill Road, the area from which Summer disappeared. Her father tells me that last night search crews followed up on a lead near their house with dogs, flashlights, and even a helicopter.
Well, the helicopter was flying till 4 in the morning, and we was hopeful that they had some kind of lead or something like that. So we was up till 4 in the morning watching, and you know, but nothing. We haven't come up with anything.
Authorities say they will continue to search for Summer from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. daily until they find her, unless they receive a tip, at which point they will go back out and continue their search efforts, which was what they did last night. Ground crews were out until 1 a.m. following that lead last night. But at this point, Kelly, Summer's father believes that she is no longer in the forest here behind me in the Beech Creek community. He believes that she has been abducted. Now, we will continue to keep up with law enforcement to see what their progress is on the investigation. Live from the Beech Creek community, I'm Bianca Murray for News Channel 11.
As Summer Wells' Amber Alert disappearance continues to get national attention on the Dr. Phil Show, one goal among all involved has remained the same, that they hope that little girl will be found soon and found safe.
As Summer has captured the hearts of so many, including those here at News Channel 11. Ansley Daniel discusses the toll this has taken, not only on investigators, but Summer's family as well.
From local news to Court TV, YouTube, and now Dr. Phil, the disappearance of Summer Wells is going beyond the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. All with one goal, though, for her to be found.
We would rather not do these things at all. We'd rather our life to go back to normal, and we just wish Summer could come home.
The Wells' recent trip to LA to film for Dr. Phil brought up a lot of pain from the months their daughter went missing.
Just brought up a lot of emotion, very emotional.
The older children of the Wells family are in custody of Child Protective Services, a continual reminder of their lives being upside down, especially during the filming.
All these kids running around on that beach just having an awesome time, and here we are alone. Well, it seems like alone when you ain't got your kids, when you've had them all this time, and then all of a sudden you don't have them.
As Summer's parents make their plea on national television for people to share information about what happened to their daughter, media requests to investigators about the case from Beech Creek have also piled in.
The media, not only in Upper East Tennessee, but Middle Tennessee and Fox News and everybody else, contact me in my office with information about this.
Have you ever encountered anything like this in your career?
Talking about missing child to this magnitude, no. I've been through a lot in the last 44 years, seen a lot, investigated a lot, but this is one of the top ones.
The magnitude also spreading to social media and content creation on YouTube, oftentimes allowing rumors to spread.
Majority of it's been a hindrance because a lot of the information that we get is the same information that we've went over time after time after time. We really don't pay a whole lot of attention to social media because it has really nothing to do with this case, because like I said, 99% of it's false.
The toll
that leaves a void in your life because we want to find her.
And wonder of what happened to Summer even when in California for Dr. Phil, weighs heavy.
You realize Summer is somewhere that she's probably doesn't want to be, probably locked up or being, hurt in some way. And when we're there on that beautiful beach and our daughter is who knows where.
You can watch all of our recent stories as well as everything dating back to the night she was reported missing on the Search for Summer section of our website.
Ansley thinks investigators are still asking for the public's help. For anyone who may have heard, seen, or know anything about Summer's disappearance, call 1-800-TBI-FIND and leave a tip. Tonight, the community is coming together to show support for Summer's safe return as well as support for her family.
And many gathered today in Rogersville to pray, to sing. News Channel Ms. Bianca Murray was at a vigil tonight. Bianca, we understand Summer's father and younger brother were there tonight.
Josh, that's correct. Her father and actually her older brother attending that gathering tonight just a short while ago as a church in Rogersville opened their doors to those who wish to pray for Summer's safe return.
I'm a new dad. I have a 1-year-old daughter. To see a young life in peril and just a community that wants to help.
Several community members joined the impromptu prayer vigil, some lighting candles and others kneeling in prayer. Summer's dad, Donald Wells, also joined.
She loves a lot of people, and a lot of people love her. We really appreciate what they've done. There's hundreds and hundreds of people out there, and they're trying their best to find her, and we really appreciate them very much.
He recalled the moment of terror he found out his daughter was missing.
And I come from work and drove home as fast as I possibly could and drove to the bottom of our property, and I seen my boys here walking around and my neighbors all looking and searching, and I knew right then that she was gone because she don't never leave the property. By herself anyway.
And the search for Summer continues.
We pray that Summer is found safe. We pray for the family, for comfort for them to know that God is in control. And we also pray for all of the men and women who are working so hard to find her, find out anything they can, and be with them and keep them safe as they continue to search.
Don Wells told me this evening that he just wants his daughter back home and safe. Reporting live from the scene on Beach Creek Road, I'm Bianca Murray for News Channel 11.
If you have any information pertaining to Summer Wells' whereabouts, call 1-800-TBI-FIND. We have put that number. Also an email address where you can send in tips on WJHL.com.
There have been some questions raised in regards to distributing the reward fund. We have been advised to and will be paying the reward fund money to the court and ask them to determine the proper resolution of the matter. Upon advice of counsel, that is all I can say at this time.
What court is that?
This is the statement that I'm making. At this time, it will be turned over to the court and ask them to determine the proper resolution of the matter.
What's the amount of the money at this point?
At this point, I don't have the most accurate, up-to-date account. The money is still in the account this time. That's all I have. Thank you.
But I'm just confused here, Tim. What court are we talking about? Is there a legal matter here?
At this point, that's all I can say.
Now, overnight, Summer's father, Don Wells, issued a statement regarding the one-year mark of his daughter's disappearance. Wells issued the statement through the family's website and YouTube channel. He said in part, quote, "With so many thoughts of people harming you, and I know you want to come home, and there's nothing I can do. I'm powerless," end quote. Now, where Summer is and what exactly happened to her still remains a mystery this morning, 1 year later. Searches have continued throughout the year by local officials, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and volunteer groups.
The community has shown an outpouring of support since Summer disappeared. People have donated food and supplies to search crews and have even offered to help search themselves. But today they offered assistance through prayer. At 9 this morning, the Kingsport Seventh-day Adventist Church held a prayer vigil for Summer Wells. The pews were full of community members and even family. Summer's mother, father, and brother were there. Her father, Don Wells, spoke at the vigil and also spoke with our reporters about what it meant to see the community support.
Without God and these people, you know, and that's other churches too as well that have been supporting us. I mean, all church family is very. I mean, that's the most important thing to me right now.
Again, it's been 4 days since Summer Wells disappeared. TBI has received over 100 tips in the case. If you have a credible tip or information that could lead to finding Summer Wells, contact the TBI immediately. That information is on your screen.
First tonight, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation took to social media today saying they're once again seeing a slew of misinformation being spread online regarding the search for missing Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells.
This has been a problem for months. Ansley Daniels tracking the story. Her family, Summer's family, reported her missing nearly 5 months ago. Ansley's now live in the studio with an update on the case. Ansley.
Josh and Sarah, in that series of 6 tweets, the TBI says that they've recently seen an uptick in misinformation about the case of the missing 5-year-old. Those tweets also reveal that numerous search warrants have been executed and any potential digital evidence has already been collected, including social media accounts. Summer Wells was reported missing by her family June 15th, sparking an Amber Alert and a widespread search in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. That search lasted for several weeks. In those tweets today, the TBI reiterated they are still working daily with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI in Knoxville in that search. They say that those efforts have included numerous ground searches, dozens of aerial searches, dive teams in area waters, and K-9 search teams. The TBI also says they have checked all available surveillance photos and videos in the area as well, and they continue to say they will not give up until Summer is found. Now, Donald Wells and Candace Bly will be speaking about their missing daughter in front of a national audience the next 2 days when they will be on the Dr. Phil Show. You can watch that here on News Channel 11 at 4 p.m. both Thursday and Friday to hear what they had to say. Now, following the Dr. Phil Show on News Channel 11 at 5 and through the evening tomorrow, we will provide you with continuing in-depth coverage in the search for Summer Wells. You'll be able to hear from investigators, people in the Beech Creek community, and those working to keep Summer's name on people's minds.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, I know, and the Sheriff's Office are continuing to work on this, and they're still looking for this little girl. They say they've been so frustrated with the lack of information in the case. And I know, Ansley, you've been working with our team here to produce several stories over the next few days about the latest on the case. What are some of the things you're focusing on?
So we have spent a lot of time in Beech Creek as a team here at News Channel 11, especially in that height of the search. Now, we have gone back to Beech Creek the last few weeks. We have spoken with different neighbors. We have gone back to the investigators as well as Don Wells. We have spoken with all of them. So starting tomorrow, you're going to hear from Don Wells and Sheriff Lawson, but you're also going to meet a neighbor who lives across the street from the Wells family who tells us that she heard a scream the night Summer went missing. She says that she heard it a few hours before that timeline that the police gave us started, but she kind of goes through what she recalls of that night and what she has been through with investigators. Now, we also spoke with a pair of YouTube content creators who talk a little bit about how that has played a major role in this case and why they believe cases like this are so popular on that online platform and what their passion is, because it's really interesting considering that, you know, these people are creating content based on cases that we cover in the news, but these people are just more like freelance or just regular content creators, people that aren't like us, and so just a different media platform. So we learned a little bit more about that as well as other community members and a few other stories that we're excited to share with you that we've been working on the last couple of weeks.
And we look forward to seeing those reports tomorrow, Ansley.
Absolutely. Ansley, thanks. Again, TBI is asking anyone with credible information on Summer Wells to contact them as the search continues. You can call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email your tips to tipstotbi@tn.gov. The ground search for Summer Wells is expanding this weekend as a search and rescue group from the Midwest is coming back to the area to once again look for the missing 5-year-old.
The company is called EquiSearch Midwest. They're based out of Ohio and also Texas. News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel spoke with the director, who says he's bringing fresh eyes and people in the hopes of finding Summer.
Although the area around Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community seems much quieter than what it did this time last month, authorities and search crews assure that people are still out looking for Summer Wells, including one group that's making another trip back this weekend.
Why not keep the bus rolling, as I say, and go out a little bit further, some fresh eyes. Some fresh people. Let's get this done.
David Rader is the director for EquiSearch Midwest, a volunteer-based nonprofit search group out of Texas and Ohio. He reached out to the incident commander of search operations to ask if they could come back.
There's some things that we would like to go over that was just kind of bothering us as far as areas being searched and maybe going out a little bit further. So I reached out to him.
Captain Tim Coop is still in charge of the search efforts on the ground for Summer Wells. He wasn't available for an interview today, but told us, quote, they, along with several other teams, have been so outpouring with support and wanting to help out. I decided to have them come back and assist with some areas and search these as a combination decision by both agencies.
We have their blessing. They trust us enough to do what we do. And hopefully we'll have success.
Rader stresses the importance of the public not being involved in the search and not disclosing exact locations of search crews, not only because of safety due to the terrain, but also because it could hinder the investigation.
We can't have people stating that we were on this road at this specific spot, because then at that point in time when we mark it off that nothing's there, it's a possibility somebody could move her or evidence to that area. And it's already been marked off as search, so we don't go back to it.
That sentiment, something echoed by the agents with the TBI leading the investigation.
There could be a criminal aspect and something happened to her. And in order for us to work that investigation, there are just some things that we're not able to share with the public.
Rader says his group will begin searching at 8 a.m. on Saturday, and they will be going over some areas that they've already looked at, as well as areas even further out. In the Beech Creek community, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
If you have information that can help investigators, call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email the address on your screen.
Turning now to your morning quickcast on this Monday. The search for missing 5-year-old Summer Wells set to resume again at 8 o'clock this morning. She has not been seen since last Tuesday. Take a look at your screen. Summer was last seen Tuesday on Ben Hill Road in the Beech Creek community. She was reportedly wearing gray pants and a pink shirt with no shoes. Investigators say she's 3 feet tall, weighs 40 pounds, and has short blonde hair and blue eyes. Meanwhile, crews searching for the missing Rogersville 5-year-old asking for a pause in supply donations. Post thanks the community for its overwhelming support of search efforts and says the current stockpile of supplies will be reevaluated this evening to see if more supplies are needed if the search continues.
This is breaking news from News Channel 11.
The father of missing Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells was arrested on Saturday night. Thank you for joining us on News Channel 11 and ABC Tri-Cities this morning. I'm Ansley Daniel. Don Wells was reportedly arrested for driving under the influence. According to Sergeant Betty Crawford with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, Wells is facing multiple charges, including a DUI, having an open container, and violation of financial responsibility, among other charges. Wells is currently being held on a $5,750 bond. No further details regarding his arrest have been released at this time. The Wells family has released a statement following Summer's father's arrest on the blog section of their website, findsummerwells.com. It's titled, "Thank you for the prayers," and reads, "Thank you everyone for kind messages. There are no words to what each day and night is like. We needed cigarettes. It was a stupid decision. Please keep us in prayer. Keep Dawn. This pain won't go away. Thank you." End quote. His daughter, Summer Wells, was last seen on June 15th near their home in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. This morning, the Amber Alert for Summer remains active and ongoing, and we're told that it will stay that way until she is found. If you have any credible information regarding Summer's whereabouts, you are asked to contact the TBI immediately at the number and email you see right there on your screen.
We've heard from investigators each day now how difficult the search is due to the terrain.
Yeah, the terrain, the mountains around Rogersville and Hawkins counties proved very difficult for a number of reasons. A big one, communication. News Channel 11's John Jenko looks into what's being done to help search teams and investigators as they try to talk to each other. John?
We now know two factors making things difficult for the 19 agencies assisting in the search for Summer Wells. First, cell phone service here in Hawkins County is not very good. Second, the terrain is very harsh. You can see there's these hills all around us here. That impacts the signal for the older radios used by Hawkins County law enforcement.
We can't hardly communicate at all on our radios, and cell phones are out of the question.
Crews are now finishing their second day in the search for Summer Wells, but their search has been slowed by technological limitations. Cell signal boosters are being used to help improve coverage, but that's only helping somewhat.
AT&T and Verizon both have bought cell phone service boosters to our command post to help try to utilize cell phone coverage, which is still very spotty.
Crews are also having to deal with the physical landscape.
We're also experiencing, as you see behind us, very dense canopy coverage, including very dense ground cover.
Those steep hills in the search area also pose a problem,
causing search efforts to become very difficult, taking extra time to cover these areas adequately, exhausting teams a lot quicker, in turn causing longer for these grounds to be covered.
The terrain also makes the use of radios less effective.
For ground crew operations, we're having to utilize anywhere from 4 to 6 different radio channels to make sure the coverage to where everybody's accounted for.
Hawkins County Mayor Jim Lee says some of the radio system used is about 15 to 20 years old, made up of parts of different systems. He says the Beech Creek community has some of the worst radio coverage in the county. Mayor Lee says a purchase was made last week for a new radio system. He expects that radio system's repeater to be installed on a nearby mountain in the coming weeks. He also hopes the county commission approves the use of grant money for new vehicle and handheld radios. For now, though, the search for Summer Wells continues tonight until 8 o'clock. In the Beech Creek community, John Jenko, News Channel 11.
New at 11, the parents of missing 5-year-old Summer Wells are now using YouTube to help in the search for their daughter. The YouTube account run by Donald Wells and Candace Bly is a way for the public to keep up with the latest efforts from the family, along with another way for the Wells family to get the word out. Their official YouTube account is also part of the family's website, findsummerwells.com. The Amber Alert for Summer will remain active until she's found. If you have any tips that could help find Summer, you're urged to call the TBI at the information listed on your screen.
Jeremy, thank you. Well, a national search group will once again assist in the search for Summer Wells in Hawkins County. EquiSearch Midwest confirming that they will conduct searches the weekend of July 24th. Now, the group noting these searches will only be for EquiSearch members. News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel will have more on their search efforts tonight on News Channel 11. Now, despite a continuously growing tip count, which nears 1,000, more than a month later and still no sign of the missing 5-year-old who was last seen along Ben Hill Road June 15th. If you have any credible information regarding Summer, you're asked to contact the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tips to tbi@tn.gov. Now, reward for information leading to Summer's return is now nearing $40,000.
Months after the call came in that Summer Wells is missing, investigators say they are no closer to finding out what happened to the 5-year-old little girl. But they do tell us that they are still working every tip and lead that comes in.
I assure you, we've done everything when we was up on that scene, everything humanly possible to do.
It's been months since the weeks-long ground search for Summer Wells was called off in the Beech Creek community.
The manpower, the search, the helicopters, the airplanes, tremendous amount of dogs, cadaver dogs, search and rescue teams.
Now, the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, TBI, and FBI are still following up on tips.
I have one detective assigned to it, and TBI has agents assigned to it as well. We have the FBI partners on board. My detective, when he gets things comes in that he needs to look at, then he will get other detectives to help him follow up those leads.
Summer's parents and concerned community members believe she may have been abducted or trafficked.
I assure you, we've done everything when we was up on that scene, everything humanly possible to do.
The FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team even came to Beech Creek. That's a team dedicated to investigative, technical, analytical, and resource assistance on site during non-family child abductions, ransom child abductions, and mysterious disappearances of children.
We brought the FBI card team in, and everything that they can find, there was no indication whatsoever of child abduction.
The TBI asked for help finding the driver of a Toyota pickup truck that was seen in the area around the time Summer went missing. That's the last new public information that was released.
You would think if somebody had saw something, they would come forward, even if they just had the truck and didn't see anything. But like I said before, it may be somebody that has paid no attention to this, or maybe somebody that's on a criminal record and was driving wasn't supposed to be driving too.
Months later, that truck and its driver haven't been identified, but we learned more about the person who gave the information about the truck.
It was somebody driving a company truck that a lot of officers here are familiar with this gentleman, and we believe that he actually saw it.
Almost 5 months, more than 1,500 tips, and a massive ground search later, the question of where Summer Wells is still remains.
Nothing pointing to abduction, nothing pointing to foul play, other than her walking outside the house and not being found is basically the main thing right now. What actually happened to her, we're still trying to find out.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation declined our request for an interview and referred us to previously recorded interviews and statements on their website, saying that those updates still stand. In Rogersville, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Another top story tonight, the rescue squad in charge of the Summer Wells Reward Fund is taking it to the court.
Yeah, the Churchill Rescue Squad asked a judge to halt further donations and determine what to do with the $40,000 in reward money in its possession. They said what's known as a legal term, such as a declaratory judgment, was needed from a Hawkins County judge.
John Janko spoke with a local attorney about what that lawsuit means for the reward money.
The Churchill Rescue Squad's lawsuit lists multiple defendants, all with connections to the Summer Wells Reward Fund. Irwin attorney Lois Schultz Davis says a declaratory judgment would sort that money out among the parties.
They want to give relief to everyone so that they can know what their rights and privileges are, where they stand basically with regard to the controversy.
Schultz Davis says declaratory judgments are used to settle issues not fitting of standard lawsuits. In this case, the rescue squad seeks an interpleader.
And the idea with an interpleader is that you'll bring in anyone into that lawsuit that needs to be involved in it in order to resolve these issues and determine with certainty that the plaintiff is acting appropriately and what it does with the money.
That means bringing in all entities with ties to the money as defendants. That includes the Children's Advocacy Center of the 3rd Judicial District, the planned recipient of the funds, and any reward fund donors and interested parties.
They're pleading it into the court to say, you know, we don't know what to do with this money, so court, you take it and determine all the rights of the parties and what needs to be done.
But 2 additional defendants are listed, Fiona O'Connor and Kiana Carlock. Carlock contributed $32,000 to the reward fund, but in an attached document to the suit, O'Connor alleges it was improperly raised without prior consent of the rescue squad. In a statement to News Channel 11, Carlock says her contribution came from honest donations from verifiable people and that it should still be given to the person leading to the recovery of Summer Wells. Schultz Davis says listing Carlock, O'Connor, and all other parties in the request for declaratory judgment protects the rescue squad from further lawsuits.
They want to make sure that what they do has the stamp of approval of the court and that they've done the right thing with the money and not paid it out in a way that's not appropriate.
For News Channel 11, John Jenko.
So tonight, the search for Summer Wells continues. Schultz Davis told us part of the request for that interpleader involves a 4-week period of notification in the Rogersville newspaper for any donors to come forward. And we've learned now Summer Wells Reward Fund has less donations than previously announced. Back in December, the rescue squad said the fund was about $74,000. Court documents now show the fund's just over $40,000 after a check for $25,000 and a different check for $10,000 were returned to their original donors.
You're watching News Channel 11 at at 6, the team you can trust for 70 years.
An agency that helps abused children will receive thousands of dollars donated to the Summer Wells Reward Fund. Good evening, I'm Josh Smith.
I'm Sarah Diamond. Court documents reveal that was the decision of a Hawkins County judge last week. The reward money donated by the public in hopes of generating leads in the search for the 5-year-old girl who was reported missing by her parents June 15th of 2021.
Well, despite an Amber Alert and a year and a half of intense searching, Summer has never been found. Without a resolution in the case, questions arose about what should happen to the approximately $40,000 in an account administered by the Churchill Rescue Squad.
Yeah, the rescue squad asked the court to intervene to resolve any legal disputes. The judge ruled the Children's Advocacy Center of the 3rd Judicial District alone will receive the money. Summer Wells, 7 years old.
And her Amber Alert remains active tonight. Credible tips can be phoned into the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND or emailed in to tipstotbi@tn.gov. Tonight, we are starting to get a clearer picture of the difficulties facing authorities as they wrap up a second day of searching for 5-year-old Summer Wells in Hawkins County. I'm Josh Smith.
I'm Sarah Diamond. Thanks for joining us on News Channel 11 at 6. Here's a timeline of the events and what has happened so far. Summer Wells was reported missing by a family member around 6:30 Tuesday evening. More than 100 people from 19 agencies have been searching since then in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. An endangered child alert was issued on Tuesday night. That escalated to an Amber Alert yesterday morning.
Ansley Daniels has been following this story today. She's live near the scene of the search with the latest from investigators.
Josh and Sarah, law enforcement, K-9 units, search and rescue, as well as air crews are heading into the 48th hour of the search for little Summer Wells, with no sign of her just yet. Now, so far, law enforcement has received about 50 tips, but none of those have panned out. About 100 people have been searching since 8 a.m. this morning across 19 different agencies with drones, helicopters, and K-9 units, as well as additional crews on standby in Middle Tennessee. Earlier today, the incident commander of Ground Search stressed how wooded the area is and how tough the terrain is.
Some of the issues we're encountering with the search is the steep and dangerous terrain. With this steep and dangerous terrain, we're also experiencing, as you see behind us, very dense canopy coverage, including very dense ground cover, causing search efforts to become very difficult, taking extra time to cover these areas adequately, exhausting teams a lot quicker, in turn causing longer for these grounds to be covered.
Earlier, law enforcement addressed how many people are asking to come assist in this search. Now they have asked that people stay home because of how tough this terrain is, as law enforcement and other search crews are already having a difficult time searching themselves. They also are asking people to continue to share the image of Summer, and they're asking people to continue to only share credible information. Also, crews are planning on wrapping up their search tonight at 8 p.m. Once it gets dark, they say that that's the best time for them to wrap things up so things don't get any worse than what they already are. Live in the Beach Creek community, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
If you have any information that could help find Summer Wells, call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tipstotbi@tn.gov.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, as Ansley just said, did ask people to only share information from credible sources. Sharing speculation, sharing rumors, which are rampant on social media, often in cases like this, can provide more difficulty for law enforcement because it increases the number of non-credible tips.
New tonight at 11, Don Wells, the father of Summer Wells, the Hawkins County girl who went missing more than a year ago, has learned when he'll be released from jail. He's currently serving jail time for a DUI arrest back in October. Tonight, his media manager says he had his 6-month hearing, and the judge decided that Don Wells will be released October 30th without having to complete rehabilitation. His original sentencing determined he would need to complete an alcohol rehab program, but again, a judge decided he would not need to complete that. Tonight, Don Wells also wrote a new letter to his daughter Summer. It was released as a YouTube video. You can find both on WJHL.com. Last night we heard for the first time from Candace Bly, Summer's mother. She spoke with News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel, and tonight Ansley talked about that interview on Court TV, a national TV channel. Ansley was able to give some insight on the case with the hope tonight's program could spark some new leads.
I got to think that zip code's probably pretty spread out. It's not like there's 40 people right next door.
It is very spread out. That area, another thing that law enforcement mentioned, like you said, it is very spread out. There were a lot of people there that have large patches and chunks of land. And again, it's so spread out that people aren't on top of each other like they would be in a typical neighborhood. And a lot of these people do typically have abandoned buildings and other things on their property as well that kind of adds into that search issue as well.
The father of missing Hawkins County 5-year-old Summer Wells was arrested today for the second time in 3 days.
Police arrested Don Wells while in court for a hearing on charges from the weekend. On Saturday, police arrested Wells on several charges, including driving under the influence. While in court for a hearing on those charges this morning, deputies arrested Wells for violation of probation.
Ansley Daniel was in the courtroom this morning. She has more on what happened.
Josh and Sarah, I spoke with Donald Wells briefly after he was arrested and then released during his arraignment here at the Justice Center earlier this morning. He declined to speak on camera with us, but we do know that he was released on an OR bond. That's otherwise known as own recognizance. That's where a person is released after promising in writing to appear in court for all upcoming proceedings without posting bail money. He was being arraigned this morning for his DUI charges from over the weekend. We weren't allowed to have a camera or cell phone in the courtroom, and we were told we had to submit a request to be in court 48 hours in advance, even though Wells wasn't arrested until late Saturday night. An order had to be signed for me to go into Judge Daniel Boyd's courtroom with just my pen and notepad. Around 9:20 this morning, Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson entered the courtroom. That's when another officer placed Wells under arrest for the alleged violation of probation. Following his arrest, Wells approached the podium. He said he wasn't sure how he could keep up with the court expenses along with maintaining child support for his sons. The judge then asked him a few questions about work, and then he asked for a public defender. The judge asked him when his last day of work was, and he did not have a clear answer, but he did say that he had been working on his house and, quote, things for welfare, those were his words, to get the boys back. He mentioned that he had also been doing some, quote, YouTube things to help try to find Summer. He then told the judge that he was going through a lot of things and a lot of heartache and would plead mercy from the court. Now, neither the judge nor the sheriff were available for an interview this afternoon or today about what happened this morning or over the weekend, and we are still waiting on the paperwork to be filed on what that violation of probation was to determine what exactly he violated. In Rogersville, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
Wells was appointed a public defender today and had his hearing on the DUI arrest reset for February 7th. Meanwhile, an Amber Alert issued by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation continues, and they are searching for 5-year-old Summer Wells along with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. If you have credible information that could help lead investigators to Summer, you're asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tips@tbi.tn.gov.
The parents of a missing Tri-Cities girl have launched a YouTube channel. Don Wells and Candace Bly say they hope it's going to help them find their 5-year-old daughter, Summer Wells. They reported her missing over 4 months ago in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County. Ansley Daniel tonight with the latest on the search for Summer.
Hi, this is Don and Candace Wells, and this is our YouTube channel.
The Don Wells family official YouTube channel launched October 11th, almost 4 months after Summer Wells was reported missing.
Just wanted to thank everyone for helping to find my daughter. We love and miss her with all our hearts. Nothing will ever be the same without her.
Her parents, Don Wells and Candace Bly, telling their story, thanking people and the media.
We just wanted to take a minute to thank everyone that's helping us to try and find our daughter. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thanks for the prayers and the love.
Some videos documenting their trip to Los Angeles to film for an episode of Dr. Phil. One even including YouTube content creator Benny Keys.
Love and prayers. Thank you for all the support.
And I know Don has turned a lot of hearts around, and that's what this is all about, bringing Summer home. Amen. Amen.
The channel is part of the family's website, findsummerwells.com, a central place for people to find information like Summer's description, recent news, a blog, and contact information to send tips to their private investigator.
We hope and pray to God we can find our daughter. We can't thank you enough. There's nothing we can do to thank you all enough, but just to thank you and praise our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
In the Beech Creek community, Ansley Daniel, News Channel 11.
The air date for Don and Candace's interview on the Dr. Phil show has not yet been set. Meanwhile, the Amber Alert for Summer remains active tonight, and authorities have said it will stay that way until she's found. They're asking anyone with credible tips to help them find Summer to call the TBI immediately at 1-800-TBI-FIND.
For the first time in months, Summer Wells' father, Don, spoke on camera about his daughter.
The 5-year-old Hawkins County girl's been missing for almost 4 months. She was reported missing by her family June 15th. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation issued an Amber Alert the next day. Her father, Donald Wells, spoke with Ansley Daniel today. Ansley, what did he tell you?
Josh and Sarah, it's been a long time since we spoke with Don Wells, investigators, or frankly anyone regarding Summer Wells. But as time is ticking on this $40,000+ reward fund for her return, Wells says that he thinks it should stay open as long as Summer is missing. The Churchill Rescue Squad set up this fund in late June of this year, saying that at the time that it would remain active for 6 months. If no tips or leads resulted in the return or recovery of Summer Wells, the rescue squad said that those funds would then be donated to the Child Advocacy Center in Mashai. The bulk of that $40,000 reward fund comes from 2 large donations totaling $35,000, one being a $25,000 check and the other being a $10,000 check. Those were to be kept separate at the request of the donors, according to the rescue squad's captain, Tim Coop. With that time running out, though, Don Wells says that he wants it to be extended to continue to give people incentive to provide information on where his daughter could be.
I just don't feel that that's right, that they're just going to give up on her in a couple more months. We don't feel that it's right, and a lot of people don't feel that it's right. And we wish we could change it or do something about it.
Now, just within this past hour, the Churchill Rescue Squad sent us a statement saying that they are extending it, saying in part, quote, "After great consideration and discussion with our board of directors, it has been decided to extend the reward fund for an additional 6 months. This decision was ultimately made due to the countless and endless hours that our agency, along with 120 other agencies from around the country, have put into trying to locate Summer Wells." Now, that decision extends a reward fund to June 15th of 2022. Coming up tonight at 6, you'll hear more from Don about where the investigation into Summer's disappearance stands and the toll this has taken on their family.
Ansley, thanks. And that Amber Alert for 5-year-old Summer Wells remains active. Investigators continue to ask for credible information. You could submit your tips by calling 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tipstotbi@tn.gov. There have still been no sightings of 5-year-old Summer Wells as the search for the Hawkins County girl approaches 3 weeks since her family reported her missing, but authorities say the search continues on a scaled-back approach. Family members reported Summer Wells missing June 15th, saying she was last seen at her home in the Beech Creek community. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation issued an Amber Alert for her the next day. Extensive search efforts to find her have been unsuccessful so far. TBI says they've received 799 tips from the public, no credible leads. Search efforts have now been again scaled back. That's according to investigators. They're still seeking, though, the driver of a truck that could be a potential witness. The truck is either a red or maroon Toyota Tacoma, maybe a 1998 to 2000 model with a full bed ladder rack and white buckets in the truck bed. If you have any information on Summer Wells, where she might be, contact TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND or email. The email address is tipstotbi@tn.gov. tonight, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation provided its first update in a week in the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells.
That's right. The TBI said they have now about 870 tips received, and today they confirmed the investigation still active and ongoing. They're looking, we believe, for the driver of a red or maroon Toyota Tacoma pickup truck that was seen in the area of Ben Hill Road the afternoon Summer went missing. TBI said that person's a potential witness as they continue their investigation.
Amy Cockrum has been following the latest on Summer's disappearance and talked with a former investigator about Summer's case.
Josh and Sarah, earlier today I sat down with Deb Richmond. She's a former investigator for the Bristol, Tennessee Police Department. She's dealt with child abuse and sexual abuse cases in her time as an investigator. She says that in a missing child case like this one, odds of finding Summer safe shift as time passes.
As each day passes, it is more alarming that she may not come home safely, but there have been children found.
After almost 30 years as an investigator, Deb Richmond now works for the Branch House, a resource for victims of abuse crimes. Even though she's not an investigator anymore, Richmond has been following the Summer Wells case closely.
If they're not letting information out to the public, it may be, and I'm just saying this from experience, it may be because they have some good leads that they can't afford to for the public to be involved in.
Richmond says she's investigated many abduction cases where children were taken by family members, but she says stranger abductions are rare.
The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is a great help.
Amber Alert is one tool, as I mentioned, in those very critical cases. It's used, alerts are issued about 200 times a year, but as I said, the National Center sees reporting of children up to 30,000 cases a year.
There's no doubt in my mind that they are working night and day and thinking of all kinds of different ways to get this solved and to bring her home safely.
Richmond tells me from her experience, she knows that the investigators on Summer's case right now are experiencing many sleepless nights as they work tirelessly to bring her home. Sarah?
Amy, thanks. TBI says the smallest detail could prove to be beneficial to this investigation. If you have any credible information that could lead to locating Summer Wells, call TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND or email tipstotbi@tn.gov.
Investigators held a news conference this morning saying this case has been outside the norm since this day last year, but they said after several searches, after 170 interviews, this case is nowhere near being called a cold case.
Ansley Daniel has been covering this since the very beginning and was at today's news conference. Ansley, a major theme is social media misinformation.
Josh and Sarah, you're exactly right. Social media has been an issue since Summer was first reported missing. And today, a year later, the TBI reiterated that, saying that it has continuously caused a hindrance to this investigation. And all that's been done in this last year, law enforcement says that they have questioned Summer's parents, brothers, those around the family when she went missing, neighbors, and even registered sex offenders in the area. Digital data and evidence, including the social media accounts of those closest to Summer, have also been obtained and searched. But now the rumor mill still continues to turn.
We ask the public not to submit tips as a result of a video they viewed on YouTube or a theory they've seen posted on Facebook. Please help us and only call if you have direct, specific information about the disappearance of Summer.
During a planned search back in early March, Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson told us that Summer's parents had lawyers and, quote, were not cooperating. Today, we asked if that had changed.
I'm not going to characterize cooperation at this time. Honestly, doing so does nothing but create more speculation, and it doesn't benefit the investigation. But thank you for asking.
So when her mother come in, she says, "Where's Summer?" She went down in the basement. She didn't answer, so she went down there and she was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked, and we haven't seen her since.
This morning, Donald Wells spoke on camera for the first time since his daughter disappeared.
Please, let Summer be okay. And please come home.
He says it's unlikely Summer would leave the house on her own. Wells says the last time anyone in the family saw Summer was when she entered the house to play in the basement after gardening with her mother and grandmother. Wells also spoke about his gut feeling about Summer's whereabouts.
Some bad person grabbed her, but we have no idea.
Wells says law enforcement have covered leads on area sex offenders and drug addicts.
We're trying to think, beat our brains out. We've covered everything that we can think of already.
Investigators say they have followed up on 85 tips so far. Wells says he is overwhelmed by the massive numbers of personnel on site.
We just really appreciate everybody trying to help that they have, law enforcement and all these volunteers that are here. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life.
That was John Janko reporting those sentiments shared by Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, who said he has never seen a show of public support like this in his 4 decades of law enforcement.
Yet today, the TBI and Sheriff Lawson said Summer's family does continue to cooperate in this ongoing search for the little girl. They say that at all points the family has continued to be assisting in this process.
And turning now to an Amber Alert that does remain active this morning, as today marks 1 year since Summer Wells disappeared from her Hawkins County home. News Channel 11 has been covering that case since law enforcement first began their search in the Beech Creek community 1 year ago today.
And our coverage not slowing down at all. News Channel 11 will have continuing team coverage all day of what's unfolded since then, including new interviews. But first, before we recount the day, Ansley Daniel walks us through who's who in the Summer Wells case.
No one has been charged in the disappearance of the now 6-year-old little girl. There haven't been any leads and no tangible evidence on her whereabouts. But there are several people involved in Summer's life and now this case that you should know about. First, we have Summer's parents, Don Wells and Candace Bly. Together, they have 3 boys and Summer. Currently, Don is in jail for violating his probation stemming from a DUI charge. He's been on camera the most, but on the other hand, his wife hasn't been on camera much, just once with us and with Dr. Phil and a few times on YouTube. Last July, Child Protective Services removed Summer's older brothers from their home. According to Candace and law enforcement, they were the last to see the little girl. Their grandmother, Candace's mother, was also one of the last to see Summer, spending the entire day with her. This is Rose Bly. She's Summer's aunt and hasn't been seen since 2009 when she went missing from St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin. The Wells are Seventh-day Adventist and they attended a church in Kingsport. Outside of her family, Summer is best known by church members, her Sunday school teacher Robin Lane and family friend David Dotson. After Summer had been missing for several weeks, prayer circles were organized by community members like Timmy Etherton, and some of them were even attended by her family. Also helping the family, a private investigator, Chris Colball with CNC Investigations. Along with that, there's also a media manager. His name is Tim Mullen. Both are local. These people, along with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, the TBI and the FBI, and hundreds of searchers, all have the most vested interest in finding Summer. Here's the area of Hawkins County from where Summer went missing from. You'll notice that there is one main road that runs through the length of the entire county. There's also a river that does the same. And if it wasn't through the woods, it was through these main roads from where she went missing that connects Beech Creek to anywhere. So how does a child just disappear from an area like this? Well, most think not by accident.
That was News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel with photojournalist Chad Bricks.
Again, we will have continuing coverage all day as today marks 1 year since now 6-year-old Summer Wells disappeared.
A birthday prayer was held in honor of missing Hawkins County girl Summer Wells. The event is to honor Summer and others who were missing. News Channel 11's Maddie Cottaspati was there and spoke with the event's organizer.
For over 2 years, Summer Wells has been missing. The investigation into her disappearance ongoing. With her birthday coming up soon, the community decided to hold a special prayer event.
February 4 is her birthday, and so we're obviously trying to celebrate her. We don't want to let a single birthday pass without remembering her.
Robin Lane knew Summer through church and simply felt compelled to keep her name in the public's minds.
It just means even more to me that we're continuing to share her face and get her name out there.
But this event was about more than just remembering Summer.
Tonight's event was just about gathering support from the community to help pray and support the families of missing children.
In the sanctuary, crosses filled with the faces of missing children, both close to home and across the country. Each person in the audience taking the time to remember all of those missing. Also among the audience, family members of missing Kingsport women Layla Santinello and Holland Snap. Lane says it was special to have them there.
I know that they were so happy to be able to come and just feel encouraged, because it's hard sometimes, but when you have other people praying for you, it just fills in that gap.
Lane says she hopes to keep Summer's name out there in hopes of her being found. In Kingsport, Maddie Cottaspati, News Channel 11.
A reminder tonight that there is still an active Amber Alert for Summer Wells. You can see all of our previous coverage on Summer Wells over on our website on WJHL.com.
Rest.